Welcome to America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, and that is a sight we've not seen in some time. Turf racing back on this Wednesday afternoon here at South Ozone Park, New York at Aqueduct, the first turf event of the season coming up in race 6. We'll have one to close out the card as well, and we've been waiting for this for some time. We got beautiful weather for it as well on a rare Wednesday afternoon makeup date. I'm having an out-of-body experience here, being on a Wednesday. We haven't been here for so long on a Wednesday afternoon. Greg Wolf, Paul Verderosa with you as we get set for turf racing back. And we have a couple of very good ones to kick it off on this Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, love seeing the green. The course looks beautiful. The weather is perfect. This is what we've been waiting for months. And, of course, there's a guy named Chad Brown that's got a pretty interesting horse in the first turf race we're going to kick off today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Midway Memories. That is in race 6, mile and a 16th on the grass. Maiden special weight who debuted at Tampa. Took some money, didn't go off the favorite, just missed by a nose. And there's some pedigree here, too.
Yeah, and the great thing about this horse was it's not that she broke a mile slow. It's not that she was way, way back. She just kind of settled back there. But, boy, when they turned for home, and she started to level off. Did she fly? Because she's out of your screen right now, and then you're going to see her just come flying on the outside to just miss in this spot. She was wide. She lost some ground in there. With any little better luck, she probably would have won. But today, with Chad Brown in her corner, second-time improvement, drawing inside, she's going to be a handful, Greg, if she runs back and she improves even a little bit off that effort.
You would think. That barn, though, usually has them ready to go first time out, and she was ready to go, just missed. We'll see. There certainly could be improvement with that second start here, but there's some others that are interesting in the field as well. But she's going to take a ton of attention. Just the fact coming from that barn, and as mentioned with the pedigree as well, Dan produced a pretty good one.
Yeah, and especially seeing her having run here in the States, that's going to be important as compared to the Christophe Clement horse, the number 4, Sione Flash, who's going to be coming in first time into the United States. So we'll see what we get from her today. She's probably going to be the solid second choice in this race.
Meanwhile, the feature, big change coming up in race 7, losing without question the horse to beat in the 6-furlong sprint. Entry-level allowance, no Antonio of Venice, who was 9-5 morning line. So that opens things up here quite a bit.
Yeah, it does. And the horse on the rail, What's Up Bro, is an interesting horse because last time this horse went out and set that quicker pace and completely fell apart in the stretch. And the job, in theory, gets a little bit easier today with the scratch of Antonio Venice probably being forward, but Tefusky Island is still in this race, and Tefusky Island has speed, and when, he's on his game, he's very fast, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. You can make a case for everyone in this field that is left to win this race.
Yeah, it's wide open. Arguably has become a better race now with that big favorite coming out because he was going to be a handful in there, so we look forward to that. That's race 7 on the card, 4:20 Eastern start time here on our Wednesday coverage. Here's a look at what is coming up with the sun shining down on us here in South Ozone Park, New York. Here's what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. So races 1 through 8 will bring you the entire card, fast and firm. Tampa, we have coverage from today as well. They are fast and firm. Races 3 through 9 to come. They're about 18 minutes away from race 3. And speaking of Chad Brown, he's going to have a very interesting runner coming up on the grass to close out their card. In Accent, who's going to be debuting. The Dan produced 3-time Grade 1 winner Program Trading, who he trained. You can play all the action by getting signed up with Naira Bets. Derby25 code to use to get that $25 free play and that $200 deposit match sign up bonus. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime right there at NairaBets.com. I'm going to kick off the card just about 6 minutes or so. The opener 6-furlong sprint, $50,000 starter allowance and a rematch between Light the Way and Silo Ridge. They met back on February 28th, and Light the Way got the better of that matchup.
Yeah, he did, and he was probably aided by the track that day. Being on the inside was a big deal on February 20th. And to be fair, and we'll take a look at his race in a little while, he did come off that rail for a little bit, but he spent quite a bit of time down in there, and it certainly helped him quite a bit.
In the rematch, though, public sighting with this one. He was the favorite on the morning line as well, Silo Ridge. Since that narrow defeat, he has come back to win. got claimed out of that race away from Belmont now with Linda Rice. So debuting for her barn coming up today.
Yeah, and I think it's a good sign, too, that Jose Lezcano's sticking with this horse because you know he has the choice of what horses he'd like to ride for Linda. And he's ridden this horse before, and I think maybe he thinks today this horse might be the goods.
Well, here's our post spread. We start with Vinsanity, who got a very big figure on a muddy sealed track last time out.
You know, he runs well enough, but he just doesn't win much, and I think that that's his biggest problem when it comes to him. But last time out was definitely a step in the right direction.
Light the Way, another one who ran very good on the lead last start on a muddy sealed surface.
Yeah, he got picked off by a horse in Derbiness, that got literally a perfect ride from Katie Davis at the last jump. You'd expect this horse to be forward today.
And that's the one who beat Silo Ridge, our current favorite, 3 starts ago. Here's JD Factor, Ilke Cantermachi Barn.
I wonder if last time he just didn't take to the off-going. It seems his last 2 trips on off-goings he hasn't taken to. We'll see if he can get back to his race 2 starts back, because that definitely puts him in the mix here.
Manny Franco, regular pilot, back aboard. Here's Silo Ridge, so the 8-5 favorite right at his morning line.
Last time out, I thought that was a really good race and a good job by Jose Lezcano keeping others boxed in to get the job done.
And Mozara on the outside, who has speed from that outside post.
Yeah, gave way last time and is taking money in this spot here, too. I wonder how much he's going to hook up with Light the Way earlier, or will he be able to clear him?
4 minutes from this opener on the card. Pick 5 starts in this opener coming up. You see the pool, 57,600 and growing. You can download all the stats on the horses, trainers, jockeys right there. Get free Equibase past performances. Go to NYRA.com/TV schedule and play along. So Silo Ridge barely beat by Light the Way when they met back on February 28th and right past the wire. He actually might have got his nose down just in front. Got a quicker figure really on most, services that you look at, running a little bit faster because he was a little bit wider that day.
Sure, and he was against the flow of the track that day when you wanted to be down inside. Now, again, you're going to see Light the Way come out here under left-handed urging, but he spent the majority of that race down on the good part of the track on the rail, whereas Silo Ridge had to be 3 wide for most of the way, 3 to 4 wide grinding it out in the stretch, and still ran well in this spot. Now goes first off the claim to Linda Rice, who wins with pretty much most of the horses that she claims at one point or another. Jose Lezcano sticks around here instead of riding Light the Way. He knows Light the Way's tendencies. He knows Light the Way will go, or at least be forward in this spot, so he'll know how to race against that horse. And 8-5 favorite in this spot. I think based off the last effort and them meeting and the way the track played, Silo Ridge is deserved favorite here.
Well, in that race we showed you, it was Light the Way who was favored. Barely got that victory as we bring in Maggie Wolfendale, but today it's Silo Ridge who is favored in the rematch. Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Greg, and as we heard Paul say, I think the track playing towards the strengths of Light the Way that day. And furthermore, Silo Ridge was coming second off of a layoff, and a horse that may have just taken a little while to round into form. And plus, Greg, I thought you were going to ask me about it, but I'll go there right now and talk about the weight difference a bit with Christopher Elliott piloting number 2, Light the Way, that day back on February 28th. Now, often you use apprentice riders to get that weight allowance, obviously, but you use them on speed horses because it's just easier for the apprentice who isn't as experienced and might, not be strong and that tactful, just to put a horse on the lead and see how long they can take them, and it's just easier for the horse to carry a little less weight. So while it was only a nose difference in margin between the two, you would have to think that just a little less weight on Light the Way certainly put him over the line in front. But as far as Silo Ridge is concerned, on this particular occasion, first time out for Linda Rice, look, physically he's looked great every time I've seen him since coming back off of that 11-month layoff. I wish there was a little bit more energy, not that that's necessarily out of character for him, but just very laid back in the paddock. Jose Lezcano took him away from the pony. He got into the bridle, but more or less a loose rein. He jumped into it, but moving well, just not really picking up the bit per se. So we'll see where he's placed. I would have to think Jose is going to ride him similar to what we saw from him back on April 4th. The horse, though, that I'm interested in with number 3, JD Factor, as Paul said, it just looked like a horse in his last few that hasn't particularly loved a really wet track like he has gotten. And Two, he's one at times that just has struggled to carry his weight. And as we've often seen with Ilkay Kantarmasi, and even before that with his brother Makan, they do better with these horses they claim. Maybe not initially first off the claim, though they can, but as they know them, as they have them in their barns a little bit longer. And this guy's weight looks better. And on top of that, Greg, just moving incredibly well out there on the racetrack. So I am not against your favorite, Silo Ridge, but I'm going to take a shot with the 3-1, number 3, JD Factor.
Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, 3-1 right at his morning line for the Kantarmasi barn with Manny Franco. And, you know, the start 2 back. Second beat a neck last time on the fast track. One of, if not the best efforts he has ever run, depending on what you look at in here. And here is that race. If he can get back to that again, back on a fast track, he's going to be a lot to deal with.
Oh, without a doubt. And he was bet off of that subsequently, and obviously he didn't run well, whether it was the track or just the stretch out in distance. But he is a factor. He has the 5 seconds and a couple of wins. But the one thing that bothers me about this horse, Greg, is that his 2 wins have come in wire-to-wire fashion in races where he was able to control or on tracks that may have helped him along. And I just feel like while he's run good efforts from off the pace, he just hasn't been able to seal that deal yet. Now, he's not the favorite in here, although he's now 9-5. But at a short price, I'm a little leery about taking him on top.
9-5 slight second choice, right? As we go back to the favorite, Maggie was talking about that matchup with Light the Way. Light the Way, the 2-horse today, won that race with a 5-pound apprentice. So got some weight that day. When they meet today, Silo Ridge and Light the Way, they're going to be at equal weights. What does that mean for both of them?
I think for me, it was more about the track surface. And to be fair, to your point about using the apprentice and getting the weight off, they were also dropping in class that day. They were able to take some weight off and be able to use his speed in here. Now, Christopher Elliott rode him that day. Jose Lezcano has ridden him since. Kendrick Carmouche gets him on today. Does the 5 pounds in your mind sway you based on who's on his back? Meaning you have Kendrick today at 123 as opposed to Christopher Elliott at 118. Does that matter so much for you? Because to me, it really doesn't. It matters in more distance races than sprinting for me, but that's just me personally.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, weight can get you beat. Bobby Frankel was huge on it. Yeah. It was a massive part of what he did. We don't talk about it that much anymore these days. We'll see what happens here in the rematch. Chris Griffin to kick off the card.
Muzara from the outside draw with the early speed. It's Muzara, who's now alone, is up by a clear length. Down towards the inside will be Light the Way, is going to track from second and pouncing on this rival quickly. That's JD Factor. Just having to steady was Light the Way. Gets shuffled back to now 4th. As Silo Ridge in the center of the racetrack has some forward momentum. The trailer, Vinsanity. Trouble in behind, but Muzara is clear, and Muzara has 4 furlongs left to go. He's trying to run off a touch. 22.52 for the opening quarter mile. JD Factor in full pursuit, stalking from second. 3-wide run for Silo Ridge. Trying to get into it is Light the Way, who had the trouble up the backstretch, is in 4th, and Vinsanity still the trailer. Muzara trying to take him all the way, only with a neck advantage. All in as JD Factor is in the 2-path. 3-wide Silo Ridge, and Light the Way is tipping to the outside. Drifting out a touch there, Muzara reaches the top of the stretch. Muzara is in front and trying to sprint away from the field. Silo Ridge with every shot to run this rival down. And here comes Light the Way and Kendrick Carmouche, and they're rolling down the center of the racetrack. A final furlong to get. JD Factor's having to steady and check hard. Down at the rail, nowhere to go. Light the Way is in the clear. Light the Way is opening up. Light the Way wins the opener. Light the Way over Silo Ridge. Then came JD Factor and Muzara in 1 minute, 11 seconds flat.
Light the Way does it again to Silo Ridge, and at a much better price this time as he wins at 7-2, beating this 8-5 favorite.
I'll tell you one thing. I thought that the 2 was done when he backed out on the backside when he didn't make the lead. So kudos to Kendrick Carmouche. And I don't know if it was a fact of this pace kind of came apart a little bit with Muzra going 22.45. But I thought both Linda Rice horses ran exceptional. Light the Way in victory, and then also Silo Ridge, who kind of got pinched out a bit at the break, and then Jose Lezcano kind of cruised up and had to take it to Muzra coming first into that pace. So, but that was a nice effort from Light the Way, especially getting back to coming from a bit off the pace in there and not making the lead in this spot.
It's in very sharp form right now. Light the Way. 3rd win, 17 career starts. spit up a 4-length lead last time out, just missed today, able to do it from off the pace. Let's go back to the beginning of this race. Yeah. And the 4-horse pinched a little bit and then bumped out to the outside.
Yeah, and that kind of put that horse behind the 8 ball on last. And to Jose Lezcano's credit, I mean, he didn't kind of really panic hustle this horse up. He kind of let this horse use his speed to get up closer and then attack Musra, into that pace. JD Factor had, kind of came up as well into that and kind of flattened out. I think he's been going in the wrong direction lately off of that big effort. But like the way, man, this was a solid effort for a horse who previously had wanted to be up and fighting for the lead. Didn't get it today, but Kendrick sure made it count, wheeling this horse 4 wide and getting the job done in the stretch.
Meanwhile, things getting a little tight on the fence down the stretch for the one Maggie like JD Factor. Keep your eyes here on this blue cap as Manny Franco goes down to the inside. Things going to close up on him here, Maggie, and that was a tight spot.
I almost wish we caught it a little bit before as they came off the turn, Greg, as, Manny having to steady severely. Now, it's nobody's fault. The 4's drifting over into the 5, who was a tiring horse at that point. But Manny went to the inside because the 5 drifted off the turn so severely, and he was caught between the 4 and the 5, so he had to kind of take that. Granted, he didn't have enough horse to be there, so I don't think JD Factor was necessarily ever going to win this race, but the fact that he had to duck and dive and steady all over the racetrack in the last eighth of the mile maybe did cost him second at the end of the day.
2, 4, 3, 5 finish, hopping off like the way. Man who just collected the 4,000th win of his career just a couple of weeks ago. Kendrick Carmouche, good for him. Celebrated that moment here with, he's always incredibly popular here with the fans. It was a neat moment we got to share on the show. And now on to 5,000 as we head out to Tampa. Race 3, 5 minutes away. 7 furlongs coming up in this $10,000 maiden claiming race. We're a huge G. We'll start with the gray from the 0 for 14, but the 5-2 favorite.
Yeah, and it's just run some more consistent figures than this group and can either be on the pace or off the pace. It's just the 0 for 14 record that turns you off a little bit.
Crosati, next door, double-digit odds at 11-1, has had 5 starts, has not hit the board. The last couple have come on grass.
No, I was going to cut back in here, going to dirt and dropping in class a bit. Needs some improvement in here today.
Katarina showed speed against a little bit better last start.
Yeah, it drops again, so I think this horse's speed's going to play from an inside post today.
7-2, major player here, Jess's Brew, off since late February.
This horse will appreciate any pace in front of her for sure.
Here's final note, 0 for 22.
Yeah, and it's finished behind UHD in 3 of their meetings, so kind of hard to endorse on the win end.
Liz Dreamin, 10 starts, has not hit the board.
Yeah, putting blinkers on today, hoping to wake this horse up.
Likewise here, 10 starts, not hit the board for Endless Fashion.
And now hasn't even been within double digits at the end of a race so far yet in her career.
At least with Not a Moon. Lightly raced, 3 starts, and this is the lowest level she'll have competed at yet.
Yeah, and it's actually the big deal for this horse, Greg, was getting away from the gate last time in better order because it was slow in the 2 starts prior.
One special act may be the horse to beat in this spot for Kathleen O'Connell.
Yeah, I like the cutbacks, but you wonder about the Gulfstream figs, how they're going to play here.
And 8-1 outside. Here's Belly Dance making her 4-year-old debut.
This is my top pick in here. I actually like this horse a little bit today. We'll see what we get. It's run against some better fields when this horse was going good as a 2-year-old back in 23.
3 minutes away. This third at Tampa coming up. Earned 5 times reward points this afternoon on Exactas at Keeneland and at Tampa Bay. Got to opt in. Go to NYRABets.com, and any opportunity to pad that account, take advantage, and you have that opportunity this afternoon with Exactas here at Tampa and at Keeneland. We're taking time out. We'll get that Tampa race coming up for you. 3 minutes from a start. We're just 10 days away from the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby. We'll talk plenty on the first Saturday in May when we come back.
Mandolin wins.
Back with you on our Wednesday edition makeup date here in New York on America's Day at the Races. Brought to you in part, we can play it all at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Flowers in bloom. We went straight from winter basically to summer weather here. We skipped spring.
That's what always happens around here. One day it's like 55, 60, and then it's 85. It's like 0 to 60.
Tampa's third coming up here. Favorite still this 0 for 14 6-year-old mare. It's getting up there. You don't see many 6-year-old maidens still hanging around the racetrack. That is the case with this one.
No, and she's tactical enough, this mare, and she can be on or off the pace. It's just she's 0 for 14, and she's going to be hard to take as the favorite. Now, I mean, there is other speed in here. If she wants to go, she may get hooked. If not, she'll try and sit a trip from the inside in here, but 3 to 1's a little tough to take.
Jess's Brew, the 4 major contender, lightly raced, and then the 10-1 special act, another one who looks like a major player in this spot.
Yeah, I'm going to try and swing with a little bit of price. Belly Dance on the outside, the 11, 6 to 1.
Jason Beam with the call. Here we go, the third from Tampa Bay Downs.
Belly Dance goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Final note in the green colors in the center shows good early speed. Endless Fashion is right there. Down to the inside, Huge G wants a part of the early mix. Those 3 across the course. Just in behind them, Liz Dreamin in the light blue colors is now 4th. Belly Dance out wide is 5th. Corsati in the purple 6 to the inside, but advancing is within 3 of the leaders. It's a length and a half more back to 1 special act in the green colors, who's 7th. Katarina's after that. Then a break of 3 more back to Nana Moon. And Jess's Brew is the early trailer, about 11 or 12 off the early lead. 4 furlongs to go, 22.38. That opening quarter mile, it's Huge G on the inside, pressed by Final Note. Those 2 go to the fire turn, a length and a half, 2 in front of Endless Fashion, who's alone in 3rd. Corsati's that one's inside 4th. Then comes Belly Dance in those white colors out 5th, about 4.5 off the top. 1 special act is after that. So then a break of 3 more back to Katarina and Anna Moon. Jess's Brew trying to get underway and launch from last. Still has a ways to come. Final Note, Huge G. 3 of them just in behind. Corsati going to look toward the inside for a seam. Belly Dance continues to gain out wide. Nana Hannah Moon, one special actor, both starting to launch from the back along with Jess's Brew. So the picture changing up front. Final note, here's Belly Dance on the outside, and Belly Dance coming up after the lead. Just in behind them, one special act is looking for a seam. Katarina's making ground down along the inside. Jess's Brew down the far outside. Belly Dance the leader with a 16th of a mile left to go. One special act on the outside moves up to second. Belly Dance in front. Belly Dance to win it. One special act looked to get second over Katarina third. Huge G finished fourth.
4-year-old debut for Belly Dance, and career start number 11 gets the first win of her career. Nice call here.
I like this horse a lot, Greg. Coming out today, Samuel Marin back in the irons, 4-year-old debut. Had some trouble in those 2 3-year-old starts. They gave this horse some time off, and you didn't have to go back too far when this horse was 2 to be able to see that this horse, I know they were 37, 38 buyers, but ran against better fields in here. Key to this horse today, Greg, was able to be on the outside post, broke clean, was able to stay clean, and be able to get the job done.
Turf racing, first of the season. It is right around the corner here in New York. Race 6 will kick things off. We'll have the nightcap as well on the lawn. We cannot wait. It's been a long winter. Sun shining, ready to get on the grass when we come back.
And clear off at the Naira Benz Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Dornock setting up moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead.
As the field turns for home.
They're at it again. The 2 Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornock.
Dornock wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stake.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
And here's Tama in the final stages. The Santa Anita Derby goes to Tama. It's Tama, absolutely terrific, winning Malibu by 4 widening lengths.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes on June 7th at Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss your chance to witness the historical third leg of the Triple Crown. Get your tickets today by visiting belmontstakes.com/tickets.
Back with you on our Wednesday card from here at Aqueduct and Tampa Bay. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net. Today, our ABR race of the week, it is 3-year-olds on the lawn this Saturday. Mile on the turf, $125,000 purse in the Woodhaven. Take a look at the field that will line up and dream on for Mark Tassi. Juan back off the bench in his 3-year-old debut. Things did not go quite as well in the Columbia last start. We'll see if he can rebound on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought last time out in that Columbia race, right, he just looked more revved up early. And I also noticed he was kind of a little washy, too, on his neck. So I don't know if he gets a little revved up and gets washy like that, because I haven't seen him enough to know that. So it might be normal for him, it may not be. He kind of gave way quickly in there. He totally has a rebound potential. And, you know, he's run well before, and he's probably going to take money in here, and rightfully so. And if he gets back to that race that we're seeing on the screen, he's got a shot here for sure. But there's quite a few horses in here that have a shot too, I think.
Javier Castellano will be aboard. Meanwhile, Tiz Dashing. John Velasquez will ride for Barclay Tag. Horse who was precocious early, won his debut. Stakes place just missed in the Awad, and now comes start number 3 of his 3-year-old campaign.
And the figures, they're going in the right direction for sure for him, and sat just off the pace last time out. against two decent horses who then went out and tried the Transylvania and ran 7th and 12th respectively in a much tougher spot. If he can continue his progression like he has from start to start, and he's very tactical enough, handy enough to put him anywhere where you'd like to put him in a race, whether close up or a little bit further back. We'll see what we get out of him in this spot. It does bother me a little bit that all 4 horses that came out of that race have regressed anywhere from 3 points to 28 points on the buyer scale. But to be fair, as I said, the top 2 horses that came out of that race ran in grade 3 company in the Transylvania, a little bit over their head in that spot. But again, this is a nice group to get our first day going this year, because you can go a lot of different ways in here.
That is coming up on Saturday. Hope you join us on America's Day at the Races as we move on to race 2 in the early pick 4 New York Breds in this allowance optional claiming 1-turn mile race. It was changed a little bit with scratches near part of the entry of the 2 and 2B comes out. The 1A Hagrid's Flame comes out as well. Landoro right now, that 5 horse. Christophe Clement, Manny Franco seemed to really be going in the right direction, Maggie, and then things did not go well last time out.
They did not, but I have a little bit of a theory. I don't know if it's a right one or a wrong one. That Landoro is a horse who does not like running on the turn, so on that left inside lead, or just being on the inside in general, which he was last time out. And 2, kind of in the running of that race, he was part of a group that was in the second flight, and he was down on the inside, and suddenly the race sped up when they kind of hit the 3/8 pole, and he was left kind of spinning his wheels. So a horse, too, that I think prefers just clipping off even types of fractions per 1/8 of a mile. Looking at him here, he by far and away looks the best in the paddock. I know he only has 3 other rivals to take down here, but I am hoping that Manny Franco can orchestrate a ride as he has in the past, riding him 3 back to a victory to get a clear outside run of it, so he's not stuck down on the inside. But all things good for a horse who looks to rebound here at 5-2 currently. Number 3, Colomio, is turning back in distance quite a bit after trying 1.25 miles against Open Company last time out. Now Mo Rhodes, who finished 2nd that day, would come back and win with an 89 buyer. But Colomio, as he projected to be the early pace setter in that race, just never looked comfortable. He looked to be off the bridle, kind of putting his head up in the air. Never looked to be traveling, and I know Connections wanted him to be on the front end and wanted him to kind of clear off and make the rest of them play catch me if you can, but as it turned out, he just never really responded, and the horses were drawn in to that race. So I do think he is a horse that is better going the 2 turns, as he'll only get to go 1 mile here today, but those blinkers coming on, so maybe there was some thought behind applying those today, given the fact that he traveled most of the distance last time out just off the bridle. So looking for him to be a bit more engaged, as he'll have to be with this 1-turn configuration. Greg.
Yeah, he likes to be forward, but coming out of a 1.25 mile race, shortening up. He's got a quick one to his inside as well. See what happens here early on in this race as you look at Landoro. Manny Franco, Christophe Clement, there's the 2B. Dr. Kraft, he'll have the far outside post, just 2 for 26 lifetime. A lot of seconds, a lot of thirds for this 5-year-old. Post Braid is next.
Arcangelo, the Belmont winner in charge. The Grade 1 Whitney to Arthur's ride.
And a Dare Manor will take the Clementel Hirsch. Olympiad gets the gold. It is Timberlake who's going to win.
Tap it twice! Tap it twice!
Sierra Leone in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Post-parade time for the start of the Pick 4 coming up in this second race here on a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon. It's South Ozone Park, New York. Here's My Last Mission, remaining half of the entry.
We'll see what they do with him early on, because the one race here that he had at Aqueduct recently, they kind of rated him off the pace.
Remaining half of the entry, the 2 and 2B, and it's the outside post for Dr. Kraft.
Yeah, he's a cool horse, but he's got a lot of that second and third-itis going on.
Colomillo, blinkers on, as Maggie mentioned, cutting back from 1.25 miles.
Yeah, I think the cutback in distance will help him. We'll see how fast he is early on with the blinkers on.
And Christophe Clement, Landoro has Manny Franco.
This is a prime rebound candidate in this start off of his last race for sure, and an easier group, too, that he's facing.
6 minutes away. Second race here coming up. Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts exclusively on Naira Bets. In your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details. Stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. They are only available in the Naira Bets app, so download it today, get signed up, and play along as we get set for this early Pick 4 coming up. Wow, Dr. Kraft, I thought was maybe the horse to beat in here, but even money, is this getting a little too short?
It's hard to take on a horse that, like I said, is a cool horse, and he runs his race every start, and he gets you a check, but more times than not, that check is second and third in this spot. And even taking a look at the race we're looking at here, too, you know, going back with Landoro back in January, again, he just came from off the pace and just came up short in here, whereas Landoro actually fell victim to Shadow Dragon in this spot, who was closer than normal and got the job done. Is a better horse than Dr. Kraft is as far as Shadow Dragon goes. And even in Landoro's case, too, last time out, Maggie was spot on, as she always is, by saying he just didn't look comfortable at parts in that race. And Quick to Access, Mighty Atlas, Rock the Weekend, they're just better horses than the group that's left in here today, too. I mean, they would be super short prices in here.
7 of 5 right now. He's only won twice, Maggie, but he's won over $300,000 in his career.
He's been trying to get through this condition for, well, quite a long time, as he dropped in for the 50 and scooped up by the Cantamasi barn for Chris Englehart in that last performance, but just ultimately proved to be second best, as Certified Lover Boy was a heavy favorite who was able to wire the field, and Dr. Kraft, he made up good ground. So he's a consistent sort, as you guys were kind of alluding to. He just doesn't really like to win. And it feels like you have to time things pretty accurately for him to do so. Physically, looks great. Warming up, beautifully. No complaints from me. I just don't like that price necessarily. In what I feel like, if number 5, Landoro, bounces back, and hey, he may end up favorite when they spring the latch, but if he bounces back, I think he should be tough in here. As we'll take a look at the 1, My Last Mission. I know he does have some speed, but he does wear quite a lot of equipment that he still could get to the lead. I just will bring up some food for thought, because breaking from that inside post, he doesn't see any of the other horses breaking, because he wears an extension blinker coupled with a Houghton bit, coupled with a burr. So you don't often see Houghton bits worn with a burr. And what that is that kind of rubber or plastic disc that will attach to the outside of a horse's bit. So sandwiched kind of in between the rein and their mouth. And when a jockey pulls on the other rein, it'll pull against their mouth and kind of provide a little bit more pressure with brushes or little plastic or rubber nodules that just kind of make it very uncomfortable, so they won't want to pull out that way. Like I said, I just don't like that much of equipment on a horse who projects to have that early pace for him. But like I said, I couldn't get over number 5, Landoro. I'm hoping that getting reunited with Manny Franco, Greg, leads to a win.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Look, this entire board very closely bunched together. 9 to 5 favoritism shifting to My Last Mission for Jamie Ness, who has that inside post. But the biggest price on the board, 4 to 1. So 9 to 5, 4 to 1 separates this entire group. Is it My Last Mission who's going to be the one leading the way here?
It'll be interesting to see, Greg, because he's had pace in his out-of-town starts that surround the race here and at this level, and they took him off the pace that day. Now, maybe it was a factor of his equipment. Maybe it was a factor of just not breaking as sharply, and the pace was moderate in there. But I would think from the inside post, as long as he breaks, he's going to be relatively close. It's funny because the 3, Colomio, puts the blinkers on, but it's not like he's a blazing speed type either. Going around 2 turns around here, again, pace is marginal, and the halves have been 48, which was a little quicker than the 50s. But
he's got sprint speed.
He does. Yes, he does if they use it. See, that's the problem. You don't know what the intention is going to be coming out of the gate because his recent New York race says they rated him around that stuff.
Silvera is usually very aggressive.
As opposed to the 7-pound bug that was on him, which is a very good point in that spot. So you would think there would be intent there. And to be fair, Landoro sat a length off of 23.46 paces, so he's not that slow either. And if Manny's aggressive with him, if he gets out of the gate with some rebound potential today, keep him outside and in the clear, he may very well be just right on that pace or off of it.
We've seen favoritism shift to 3 of the 4 runners in this race in about the last 3 or 4 minutes. It's gone from the 2B to the 1, now to the 5. Tells you what kind of race this is. Landoro, I thought last time out really was going to take a big break forward because he'd put together 2 very good efforts. And off the bench, he ran so good, and it just did not work out for him last time out. We'll see if he can rebound with Manny Franco. Obviously, one of the best Barnes in the game, Christophe Clement.
Sure, and as Maggie alluded to, he's not a fan of being inside of horses. He ended up getting bumped at the start. He ended up having to be in between horses, then be inside of horses, be in a flight of horses, and it just wasn't his day. And sometimes that happens, but today, smaller field, outside draw, and it's just an easier group on paper when you look at the horses that he's run against recently. Shadow Dragon, we know Shadow Dragon was not that much of a winning type, and he's put together a couple of wins now, but he turned a corner a little bit there. Quick to Accuse, Mighty Atlas, Rock the Weekend, just better horses than the group he's facing today. Now, Dr. Kraft is not a bump by any means, but he's not a winning type. You take a look at a horse like the 3, again, 5 wins for his career, but again, they've been races, some 2-turn races that he was able to control here, and even at Churchill Downs, he was able to control that against much lesser. So that leaves My Last Mission. And My Last Mission, if there is intent, he's certainly good enough. His last 4 races, he's run figures that are better than what this group has run or equal to. So for me, it was a 5. I didn't know intent on the 1, so I put Dr. Kraft in his favorite spot second, the 2B at the end of the day.
9 seconds, 9/3, yeah, for the 2B Dr. Kraft. Odds on now, wow, on the 5. Yeah. Landoro, who the public is honing in on as your top choice here from that second to the outside slot. 4-horse group. It is strangely, you can see traffic problems in these small fields. No one kind of lets anyone gets away, and it really becomes a rider's race at times.
Yeah, they somehow find their way to each other in smaller groups. I also wonder, as we said a few minutes ago, I wonder really if Landoro breaks well, if he's going to find himself on or just right off of either the 1 or the 3 in this spot.
Pick 4 begins here. There's your odds-on favorite. Chris Griffin, the call.
Dr. Kraft to the outside. Dr. Kraft goes in. All set. And they're off. Dr. Kraft breaks with early speed in the far outside in the yellow cap. Here's Colomio in the early mix with My Last Mission moving through at the rail. And now we'll assume the front. It's going to be My Last Mission, who's a neck in front as they get set to come out of the chute and hook up the backstretch compact field. My Last Mission, Ruben Silvera, they're going to set the tempo. And right there is Colomio stalking from second. 3 wide comes Dr. Kraft. Landoro is the trailer as they work up the backstretch, and they start to back things down. 23.48 for the opening quarter mile. My Last Mission. Headstrong here, wants to go, is in front, is up by 3/4 of a length. Just stalking and watching the action here is Colomio's. Well settled for Dylan Davis, and 3 wide still Dr. Kraft. Landoro moved down to the rail here for Manny Franco. Is going to save all the ground as they work to a half-mile left to go. 46 seconds flat for the half-mile time. My Last Mission encouraged to kick on. Dr. Kraft just ran by Colomio, who's now back to third, is all in here and not making up some ground. Landoro lost some ground going into the far turn, is trying to make it up, but is still 4 off the leader. My Last Mission is in hand and approaching a quarter mile left to go. Dr. Kraft is a clear second, is in pursuit. It's My Last Mission at the top of the stretch, trying to finish this off. Dr. Kraft continues to give chase. Colomio is now resurgent down towards the inside as they straightened up as they're approaching a final furlong. Can My Last Mission still hold them off? Is only ahead in front. Colomio is at the rail. Dr. Kraft is 3 wide. These 3 with a 16th left to go. My Last Mission trying to gut it out as the wire approaches. Colomio is going to launch one more time. Photo finish. Photo between My Last Mission to the outside. Colomio is a very tight photo. Dr. Kraft finished third in 1 minute 35.71 seconds.
Did My Last Mission ever give up that lead? I'm not sure. We'll have to take another look at it here. Down to the wire, still that nose in front, and I believe he maintains that lead past the wire.
That's Gray all day. He got the job done. You were right. I was completely wrong. Intent on getting to the front. Ruben Silvera did just that with this horse. And it was good to see this horse, who had the most consistent numbers, equal or better than this field, get in front of these. And I thought it was very interesting that with the 5, Landoro, Manny Franco, they didn't break that great. He kept him back. He put him inside. And it seemed like this horse resented at one point being inside of horses, took a little bit of dirt, backed up a few lengths, and then kind of made this little bit of a run from the back of the pack. Never got to any of the horses, but then kind of just faded in the stretch. But boy, the winner was good today because they finally used that speed here in New York that they didn't use last time. So
and didn't even get out that great. It's almost like he sort of took a hop step or some sort of, I don't know if he saw something.
Yeah.
But wasn't out immediately in front. Then eventually, after about 100 yards out of the gate, took command. My Last Mission, 10th career win in 38 starts as we go downstairs to Maggie.
Greg, like I said, it's because he can't see anything. My Last Mission with that extension blinker on from the inside post position. That's why he got away a little bit slowly. And I don't know what they're going to do with Landoro, who, like Paul said, he just does not like taking dirt. He doesn't like being on the inside. He doesn't like running around the turn. So really disappointing performance from him, but a real gutsy one from My Last Mission.
Horse likes to win. 10 times he's hit this winner's circle, not just the second time in New York. Jamie Ness, Ruben Silvera, and a 6-year-old in very strong form right now. 2 wins and a runner-up the last 4 starts.
Yeah, looked good, looked sharp, and this was a nice effort. Even your runner-up had a nice effort. Poor Dr. Kraft has to settle for another 3rd-place finish.
1-3, 2B5 to start off that pick 4 in the second at Aqueduct as we take you back to Tampa. Race 4, mile and a 16th on the turf in this lower level $16,000 maiden claiming race. They're all for sale here. Here's Graham Zilla, 3-1.
Yeah, drop down in class in here. Puts the blinkers on figures here with the class drop and drawing inside.
Next store, Ogen, who's had 4 starts on the grass, hit board once in the debut, sprinting 5 furlongs.
Yeah, last time out was a little bit rank early on, couldn't really get settled down and kind of faded from there.
Here's the favorite, Calvino. A couple of narrow defeats at the level, last 2 tries.
Yeah, picked up horses late last time. Never got off the rail there. We'll see if this horse can work out a trip as the favorite in this spot. But it's going to need to do a little bit more, I think.
Some things to like about King Plutus, and he's 21-1.
Yeah, he's definitely better on the grass, and he's a first-time gelding today. And he got revved up last time, too, on the front end on the dirt.
$10 a glass has former Derby winning rider Sonny Leone on.
Yeah, it's trouble in both turf starts early, looking for a better break today.
Silver Punch, at least lightly raced, second start on grass.
Yeah, it was wide last time, didn't do really much running until late.
Here's a player, Red Sky Morning, blinkers on, new gelding.
Yeah, I like this horse today, is back in the right spot as well on the drop in class.
Yeah, tried much tougher last time out. Here's Take Your Medicine.
I will say there was a couple of next out winners from that 321 race, ran better. Get a price today.
Tap, Tap, Rust, start number 2, and it's the first on grass.
Yeah, the dam was 0 for 6 on the turf.
Mr. Miles actually hit the board against a lot better on the turf at Tampa.
Yeah, and dropping in class in here, too. So we'll see what we get if we can run back to one of those earlier races that this horse ran, especially the second start of the career for sure.
Yeah, 9-1 right now for a horse that has a little bit of upside, some reasons to play. Back to Aqueduct, My Last Mission. Wins it 2-1. Jamie Ness, Ruben Silvera. And this 6-year-old gelding by Mission Impossible gets his 10th career win.
And was gutsy in victory, too, because the rail opened up for Colomillo, and Colomillo ran a very good race on the cutback in distance for sure, and picking up Dylan Davis never hurts as well. I wonder if the blinkers actually kept Colomillo a little bit more focused, especially down there with a horse to the outside. And just when you thought Dr. Kraft was looming here on the outside, Dr. Kraft did those good old Dr. Kraft things that he likes to do and settled for a minor reward. But a gutsy performance from My Last Mission, who ran figures that were good enough to compete here. Just this time we saw intent with some speed.
$6.60 for the victory, 1-3-2B to start off the pick 4. And we'll get to the third in a moment. That's going to start the pick 6. Let's talk Derby, though, 10 days away from the 151st running of the Run for the Roses, and a look at that Derby points list leaderboard, journalism, who will go to the Derby as your favorite, third on that list in terms of points, but going, I would believe, in just about everybody's eyes to Louisville as the horse to beat. Aside from the debut, he's reeled off 4 consecutive wins, including 3 graded stakes.
Yeah, it's hard to argue his resume, Greg. I mean, and he's got the best figs, and his tactical speed and his easygoingness certainly makes him a player. You do anything you want with him. He's very kind-hearted. He takes you where you need to go. But I got to tell you, man, if he's 3-1 or 5-2 or in that range in a 20-horse field, the best figs don't always win the Derby sometimes. And he's a horse that, sans only that one race at Del Mar, he's only faced 5 horses. A lot of time the same 5 horses. And yeah, he got into a little trouble last time, but you get into trouble in a 20-horse field as opposed to 5, your day is going to be done. Now, he's talented enough to win, and he's going to go in as the favorite for sure. But what price do you take on him?
Well, that's our question we're going to ask. Will the odds on journalism Derby Day be 3-1, over or under? Are you going to take? You look at that race 2 starts back. He had trouble in his last race, so that number might have been a lot higher than it actually is.
That's true.
The number before that he earned, how fast he ran, that puts him, in the category of the top older horses in the country right now.
For sure. And he ran exceptionally well in that race 2 back. And even last time out, getting shuffled and having to find his way and find his way out and be able to get the job done and come from off the pace for a horse who's done it before, who's been within range. And that's what's great about journalism, is that he's not a horse that's going to have to launch from 10 lengths back and run into tons of traffic. But he's not a horse that's going to want to be on the lead either. So he's going to be in that first flight, at worst, second flight. So you just have to hope for him that he gets a nice post position. I'd like to see him somewhere between 10 and 15, where he's not drawn in the 20 hole, but not having a lot of trouble and having to deal with it to the inside of him. I don't think he's going to be 9-5, 2-1 favorite because of the field and just how big it is, and you find some wise guy horses. I think 5-2, 3-1 is fair. I'm going to say he's going to be under. I think he's going to be 5-2.
Okay.
Just slightly under. Just slightly. But I think he is the horse going in, for sure. That's the gaudy horse with the figures and the race last time out that you look at, the triple-digit figures that you say, this is someone I could kind of latch onto that's not going to get himself in trouble unless somebody else makes it for him. Because I think that's going to be the biggest question mark. Because he's a horse that's shown that he does not put himself in bad positions. He puts himself in positions to win close to those paces and doesn't have to give himself a lot to do. So it's really luck of the Derby. We say it all the time with the Derby. The best horse doesn't always win it, but they always, make themselves known. So I think for me, anything under 3-1, 5-2 is marginally playable. I have some other long shot ideas, but I wouldn't fault anybody that picks the horse.
Where do you see him as being? Obviously, he's going to be the favorite because he's the horse to beat. He's shown the most talent.
Yes,
Where do you see him as being playable for you in the Kentucky Derby?
On a win end for me, I would take 5-2, 3-1. I would.
Oh, you would bet him at that?
I would bet him to win because I'm also not betting $2. I'm going to be fair there. But defensively, I'm going to use him also in multi-wagers. But if you're asking me what I would take on him, 3-1, 5-2, 3-1 would be fine. I'm not taking anybody at 2-1 in the Derby, especially when I have ideas of horses that are a little bit longer priced that I'd like to play a full round with.
10 days away. You can play the Derby by getting signed up at Naira Bets. Take advantage of all the offers going on. Derby 25, code to punch in for new members. To get that $25 to play in your account and that $200 deposit match sign up bonus. Get yourself all set for Oaks Day, Derby Day, just 9 days away from the Kentucky Oaks and 3-year-old fillies. Thurby's always fun as well, that Thursday of Derby week. You don't want to miss out on that card as well. So get signed up and be ready to roll.
It's crazy. You think back to when we sat here in January and said, well, we're just getting started on the trail, and here we are 9 days away. It does go fast. It really does. Time moves always at the same speed, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't.
4th at Tampa, post time. Here we go. Mile 16th on the grass. The favorite, Calvino. We made a case for quite a few others, though, in the spot. The 4, King Plutus. hit the board at this level before. It's a new gelding. We talked about the 10 Mr. Miles, and the outside, that price has come way down, by the way. I think it was 9 to 1.
When we talked
4 to 1 now on Mr. Miles.
Yeah, and Red Sky Morning, too. You know, the 7 horse is where I'm at in this spot, too. He showed good improved forwardness last time out off the debut, stepping up in class. It didn't work out, facing much better. They put the blinkers on. He's a first-time gelding today. He drops back in class today. As long as he's not 12 lengths out of it, I think he's going to run a much better effort with the class relief in here and having broke better in his second start.
4th from Tampa, Jason Beam with the call.
Mr. Miles to the outside at 4 to 1. Goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Calvino got out in good order. Take Your Medicine, the purple colors from the outside, and King Plutus in between them. Also forwardly placed Silver Punch, but it's going to be Take Your Medicine to have the lead after that first 16th of a mile. Silver Punch, Mr. Miles up on the outside, coming up to challenge now as they come into the lane for the first time. Mr. Miles a little tough to handle there on the outside. Samuel Marin trying to get him to rate and tuck in behind these top two, but right now he's having none of it, trying to work over. So they go into that first turn. They're 3 abreast, and they're going quickly. Take Your Medicine, Silver Punch, Mr. Miles, but a tough trip for that one on the outside. They're 5 clear of King Plutus, who's back into 4th. Calvino settles 5th after that good beginning. Then comes $10 a glass in the orange colors. Break of 2 more back to Grahamzilla, Red Sky Morning. They race in 7th and 8th. They're 2 clear of Ojan. And Tap Tap Russ is the early trailer, as after that 23-second opening quarter mile, Take Your Medicine is still in front. Take Your Medicine with just over a half mile left to go. In front by almost 2 now to Silver Punch. Mr. Miles trying to get settled on the outside. 46.68 for that opening half mile. The others are getting closer now. It's a break of 3.5 more. Back to King Plutus, $10 a glass. They come into the race from 4th and 5th. Calvino's in behind them, 6th in the black and gold. The break of 2 more. Back to Grahamzilla, Red Sky Morning. They're trying to launch as they both still have about 8 or 9 lengths to find. They wind around that turn. Take Your Medicine still there. Silver Punch. Mr. Miles is retreated, being passed by Calvino. And here's Calvino now up to 2nd, trying to come after Take Your Medicine. Take Your Medicine around to the top of the stretch. Calvino going to get first run. Red Sky Morning going to follow that move in the orange cap. Then comes $10 a glass in the orange colors between horses. Down the far outside, Ojan and King Plutus trying to get underway. A final 1/8 of a mile left to go. Calvino, Miguel Vasquez roused to the lead in front by 1.5 lengths to Red Sky Morning, who has the final 100 yards to try to push on by Calvino. Slipping away though. Calvino at 3 to 1. Going to go on to win it here by 2.5 in the end. Red Sky Morning was 2nd, $10 a glass. Then came Take Your Medicine. King Plutus was 5th.
Calvino, 3rd start off a short layoff. Able to get this maiden score as the top choice on the board.
Yeah, he got a sweet trip in here. There was a 3-horse breakaway on the front end, and kudos to Take Your Medicine, who ended up 4th, surviving that war after opening up on his own. He just got the jump on Red Sky Morning. That's all it is, because the race ultimately came apart, and Calvino had a good spot early and a good trip and jump on the 7 late to get the job done. I thought the 3 and the 7 both ran good races in this spot with pace to close into.
Prices from this 4th at Tampa. When we come back, we'll talk Kentucky Oaks when we return. Brad Cox loaded with talented 3-year-old fillies. First, we thought it was going to be Immersive we'd be talking about this time of year. Then it was Muhima. Winds up, it's Good Cheer, undefeated, 6 for 6, coming off a win in the Fairgrounds Oaks. She'll go to the Oaks as the favorite. We'll talk her chances when we come back.
Nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness. At the line, War of Will. That's a photo for the win.
Will then and Vince Chemino take the Jimmy Durante.
War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
The champion 2-year-old. One of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2. Undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
Gorgeous Wednesday afternoon as we get set for the debut of turf racing coming up later on in the card. Here in South Ozone Park, New York, you're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. And a look at the leaderboard points list for the 151st running of the Kentucky Oaks First Friday in May, right around the corner. Quiet Side on top of that list, but the undefeated Good Cheer sitting there in third in terms of points, likely to go to the Oaks. It is your favorite, perfect 6 for 6. We will shine the spotlight on her for trainer Brad Cox. Part of those 6 victories, Paul, 3 victories at Churchill Downs.
And that's key, I do believe, for this horse. You know, you get a familiarity of the surface, you get a familiarity of the crowd size, the surroundings. It's important. You know, and you can't fault a record when you see 6 for 6. You can talk about figures. You can talk about, you know, pace scenarios or not winning by an expected amount. But when you get your nose on the line 6 straight times, until you get knocked off, you're undefeated and you're still probably one of the favorites, or if not the favorite, going into the race.
Yeah, I got to think she's the favorite with that record. I don't like the fact, though, she has not really gotten any quicker at all since the second start of her 2-year-old campaign, and that's a concern.
It is, but the numbers have kind of slightly gone up 2 and 3 points here and there. I mean, when you look around at some of the other horses, yeah, they're byring in the high 80s or 90 or maybe 91s at top, but she's doing the same thing as well. I think sometimes figures are a little overrated in some cases because you have to pass the visual test. You have to see some heart. You have to see what a horse is going to do, and she finds a way to win. The good horses do. And she's winning by open lengths in her starts. Now, maybe the fields are not as explosive, or maybe some of the best horses are not all getting together, but they never do anymore until one big day. So you really can't tell what's going to happen until they actually do. For me, I think that at least they're going up incrementally figure-wise for her. She has a familiarity with Churchill Downs. She's run well there. If she's a super short price, would I fault anybody for swinging against her? Absolutely not.
But so our question to you, do you try and beat her? Or is she a massive standout single for you on Oaks Day?
I don't think I would single her because I think there's some upside to a horse like Quiet Side going into this spot, you know, and we'll see what LaCara does, who is the, you know, now horse off the Alcibiades race. But again, that was an 88 figure and a career best figure for her. So we'll see what she does. You know, a horse like Tenma needs to go faster. We saw a 92 out of her, but then the race after that, she ran a 75. So she's still a work in progress. For me, it was more about the Good Cheer and Quiet Sides of the world. Even a Take Charge Milady isn't the worst if they got her mouth issue right, that she ran second now with a much better effort. She was having some problems with her molars and her teeth, and they were able to fix that and, you know, get the bit right for her. So she's not a standout single for me, and I'm going to use her, but I'm also going to use 1 or 2 others in the spot. This is not a spot where I'm spreading 6 or 7.
Just the people love to see those ones across the line. She goes in undefeated, but yeah, there's some others that seem like they are on the upside where she is, even though she keeps winning, she's sort of been the same horse since early on in her 2-year-old campaign. We'll see. She's going to be fun to watch, putting that perfect record on the line. It's certainly going to attract a lot of attention as we get set for the Pick 6 coming up in New York. 10 minutes away from race 3 to begin the sequence. It's for non-winners at 2 lifetime. Waja, short priced 1-2 favorite when we come back.
Get into the game with with Bond Racing Stable. When you partner with Bond Racing Stable, the Bond team does all the work and you enjoy the experience. As a partner, you can watch morning workouts, come to the paddock for saddling, and cheer your horse down the stretch. Bond Racing Stable offers more than 30 New York-bred weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds in a partnership program that gets you to the winner's circle. Whether on your own or with friends and family, make Bond Racing Stable your racing partners. Go to jamesbondracing.com today.
Back with you on our Wednesday coverage here at Aqueduct. Pick 6 coming up as we get set for our post parade. We'll kick things off with Macville. Non-winners at 2 life conditions, 6 furlong sprint.
Just hasn't shown much lately, even with the drop in class, but does cut back here and does have some early speed, like a lot of others in this spot.
11-1 next door, and this one with early speed, no question.
I'll tell you one thing. It was open claimers last time. I don't think this horse ran all that terrible for getting into opens off the state-bred races. But again, a lot of other speeds signed on here. We'll see what happens early on.
It's a short price to make a horse who is not all that fast.
Yeah, this is a tough horse to take short. I know I picked this horse on top, but we'll talk about him in just a little while. But yeah, this is a tough one to take. Did improve off of going to Lindisbarn, or was it the field last time that did it?
Yeah, on the ledge, this one's interesting, especially at 7-2.
Yeah, that avoided claims now been gone for 8 months. It's going to show speed in this spot. Somebody had to be second choice in here. So
here's Accidental Bid. Cantor Machi Barn off the claim. Claims off of Linda Rice.
Yeah, it just wasn't this horse's day last time out, but, you know, it was back in 5 weeks later here. We'll see what happens on the cutback in distance.
And more speed outside. This is a new gelding Western Wolf.
Yeah, it's going to face easier horses today, I think, with this field, but does bring speed to the table, and it poses an interesting question in here. Majority of them want to go to the front in here, so what exactly do you do, and who's the horse that might be able to just lay off of it or bottom them out if you're going one way or the other?
Big warm-up for the odds-on favorite, 3-5. There's Wadja, so it took him 9 starts, finally breaks through, gets that maiden win for maiden 20, first off the claim, Linda Rice claiming off of Chad Brown.
What was wild about this race was it was fast for the level, the pace perspective, but this horse never had run like a winner before, and this horse raced like this horse was the goods the entire way around the track. I mean, I know it was a field that was not good, and you couldn't really find anybody else to latch onto or find any consistency in that group. But this horse looked like a totally different horse for Linda. So you have to ask yourself the question, was it the move to the Linda Rice barn, because we've seen Linda do this with plenty of horses over the winter, or was it just the field that made this horse good? Because from a speed standpoint and a pace standpoint, you think if this horse wants to gun again today, there are horses in here that are going to try and keep this horse honest. Now, the one thing I will say is, at least a long time ago, Waja had a race where, you know, he was able to sit a little bit off horses and ended up running second that day. But you got to go back to like 2023 for an effort like that. So I don't know what to do with this horse. Picked him on top, but 3 to 5 is really tough to take.
Short price, Maggie, on the Linda Rice winner off the claim. Can this one go back-to-back in the winner's circle?
Yeah, and I'll have to do it off a little bit of a break, too, here, guys, as Wajda is a little bit tough to gauge because he's a Linda Rice horse. Linda's horses are typically really well turned out from a health standpoint. They carry a lot of weight and conditioning and look resplendent in their coats. And Wajda is a prime example of that. Now, I liked him even more, though, once he got out on racetrack. He really jumped into the bridle with Jose Lescano aboard. And Jose even had a little bit of trouble pulling him up on the backside. Now he's letting him cool his jets, just walking over to the chute. But Wajda, as you guys said, could it have been just putting him on the front end that emboldened him, that got him the win last time out against a soft crew? Granted, Shaking the Bell would come back and win as well. But I don't necessarily know. He might just be better than the field that he meets here today, because it feels like his main rival, and the board would agree with that as well, is going to have to come off of a considerable layoff of 8 months, and that's number 4 on the ledge. Now, on paper, he's actually the fastest horse if you look at pace figures. But on the ledge last time out at Saratoga, he didn't break that quickly. Then he had to rush up between horses. He took over while under a drive. And honestly, he hung in pretty gamely considering all that he had to overcome. Now, that claim was voided, and now we haven't seen him in a while. He does look a little heavy, which has always been my complaint about him. But to be fair, in that start coming back on June 27th, which was that blowout performance and win, he did look more fit than what he does here on this particular occasion. And 2, he's fairly quiet here in the warm-up. So it might be just a point to get him back. I don't know if he's as good here today as Wajda. And then speaking of other pace presence, that could be number 6, Western Wolf. At least he draws favorably to the outside. Now, he's a horse that I think is one-dimensional. You have to go with him. Whether gelding maybe changes that, I'm not sure, because the one time he didn't make the lead, he tried to jump the inside fence, and last time when he didn't make the lead, he pulled himself up. So we'll see what Western Wolf does. As I always say, Greg, I like a new gelding. He is very settled today, maybe more so than what I've seen from him in the past, but Lane Leslie, who does know him, knows he has to go.
Yeah, and it would seem, thank you, Maggie, like they really want to try and emphasize that speed with this horse. That's his game, that's his weapon, and that 3 furlong bullet drill, quickest of those 7 that worked out back on April 17th, maybe trying to remind him what he does best.
Yeah, and from an outside draw, you would think it's all systems go here. One Vision is definitely fast, and on the ledge, too, you know, carries quite a bit of speed as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the pace scenario plays out with a bunch of horses that like to go to the front end or have done their best work doing that.
Yeah, this 4 horse, especially the fact coming in fresh off the bench. You usually see horses, especially who are quick anyway, and then come in fresh. They are ready to fire and roll out of the gate. And that may be the case with this horse here as we take a look back at the maiden score. Yeah, draws off to win by 9.5 lengths.
He just bottomed out this field that day, and it was a weird day too when you go back and you look at the charts and the races, because on that day some races inside speed was really good, sometimes it was not, but then again it may have played to the fact that this horse was also 80 cents on the dollar and crushing a field on the drop down. I mean, subsequently he didn't run terrible, got involved in that pace after breaking a little bit slow up at Saratoga, and then the claim got voided and he's been gone for 8 months now, and it's just hard to trust coming off of the layoff here. in this spot with horses that have other speed. Listen, as Maggie said, he's got the best number. Maybe he might just be faster than everybody else around him, and in the end of the day, be able to win in this spot. But I had a tough time with this race because if you didn't go to the 2 favorites, you couldn't really hang your hat on the long shots either in this spot. So that's how I just ended up at the end of the day in Linda I Trust with Waja, and I'm hoping last time was just a horse that finally figured it out, and maybe this time we'll run it back-to-back in this spot.
And if you're playing this pick 6, it's your time to get involved here. Final few moments. We get set for post time. That 7th race, as we talked about, our feature gets a lot more difficult with Antonio Venice coming out. Seems like almost anybody can win that race. Is race 6 maybe the race where you lean and say Midway Memories for Chad Brown? That's a single here.
I think a lot of people, and especially people with smaller budgets too, will just say, you know what, it's the first turf race of the year. We've got a Chad Brown in here. This horse is probably going to be even money or less, and we're gonna hope that Chad gets it done in there. And you know, Chad's got okay numbers with second-time starters, and this horse ran well upon debut. So I would think that that's going to be more of a lean as far as the turf races go, because even the last race, Regazzo de Oro, the one had a trip in his debut race, so maybe you can kind of use that horse, but there's a couple of others in there, too, you can make a case for. So probably the Chad Brown runner, I think, would be a single on most.
Here's your even money favorite to kick off the pick 6 sequence here. Wajda, Linda Rice, Jose Lescano. She claimed this one off of Chad Brown. Went right into the winner's circle. Not much of a field he beat. It'll be a little tougher, especially with this horse in here today. See what this horse does off the bench on the ledge, who, as Maggie pointed out, does have the quickest race of anyone, but is he the same horse? Returning off quite some time away. Chris Griffin to get us started here in the pick 6.
Lane Luzzy, Western Wolf, they go in. All set. And they're off. Wajda breaks well from in between horses. Accidental Bid out wider, and joining them Western Wolf. And here's On the Ledge, sprinting on through. On the Ledge, collected himself and is now up by a half length, is in front of Wajda, who comes right back to the inside, does not want to give up the lead. Wajda is back to a head in front and On the Ledge, and these two hook up in an early pace duel approaching 4 furlongs left to go. Accidental Bid has settled just off of them, is in third, is a shared third and fourth there with Western Wolf, who's going to be wide. The two at the back, that's Macville, and One Vision is the trailer through a 22-second pumped up opening quarter mile. And here is On the Ledge as a neck in front of Wajda, who battles onto the inside. Trying to catch them both is a long shot. And Western Wolf is ranging up, is going to be 3 wide as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Can On the Ledge keep going? It's On the Ledge, who reaches the top of the stretch, has dispatched of Wajda and is opening up on this field. Western Wolf is giving game chases towards the outside, is about to challenge for second there with Wajda. From the back, Macville, but On the Ledge is just opening up. This margin has a 16th left to go, and it is all Christopher Elliott aboard On the Ledge to win this one easily. Macville from way out of it to get second, then came Accidental Bid, and Wajda finished fourth. Final running time, 1 minute 10.52 seconds.
On the Ledge, he had the best, really, resume of anyone in this group coming in. He was second to Radial Red, second start of his career. That's a talented horse that wouldn't even be running against this group. I'm not even going to say what odds he'd be at. 4-1-5-3. Goes off at 7-5 as a second choice.
Well, what's wild is he even got off a step or two slow out of the gate, too, and Christopher Elliott was able to find a little seam and just sent this horse right to the top. Wajda tried to battle inside for a little while, and I think Wajda showed who Wajda was. That last time was probably a little bit of an aberration in that spot. I mean, this horse just blew this field away off of an 8-month layoff and avoided claim. This was the right field, the right spot, the right rider, and he certainly made the race in here, and he drove comfortably in the end. He won by like 10, I think, at the end of the day. So that was a good effort in this spot, coming back off of the layoff, probably in the right spot with the best figs.
Slight second choice here, 7-5, but you beat an even money favorite to start off the pick 6 here, 4-1-5-3, and a no doubt about a win. Big return for this 5-year-old for the Bruce Brown barn. Christopher Elliott to kick things off in the pick 6. We'll get you back to Tampa when we return. Approaching the 5-minute mark to post for the 5th on their Wednesday card to start the late pick 5.
An Eclipse champion by leading young Sire, Not This Time. Up to the Mark made an impression in the sales ring, bringing $450,000. He then left his mark on the racetrack. a debut winner at Saratoga before compiling 3 consecutive Grade 1 wins in the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs, the Manhattan Stakes at Belmont, and the Turf Mile at Keeneland. Up to the Mark now seeks to leave his mark as a stallion, standing at Lane's End.
Selling the best. Fasig-Tipton graduates won more Eclipse Awards in 2024 than any other sale company. Torpedo Anna, Moira, National Treasure, Sierra Leone, Soul of an Angel, Straight No Chaser, Fasig-Tipton, eclipsing the competition.
For over 150 years, the Kentucky Derby has stood as the most enduring tradition in American sports. And in our time, one stallion is reshaping its legacy. Back-to-back Derby winners. His first son at stud siring another. A dynasty in motion. A motion that again has forward momentum toward Louisville, with another elite crop of 3-year-olds bearing his genes. Spendthrift Farm, home of Into Mischief.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on our Wednesday card here at Aqueduct. Program brought to you in part where you can play all the action at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime, on the ledge, no doubt about it. Winner, what a return for this 5-year-old who'd not been seen since early August, Saratoga last summer.
Yeah, put this field away early, even with breaking a step or two slow. Christopher Elliott got the seam, went right to the top, and Waja kind of gave this horse a little bit of a fight for a while, but backed out of there quickly. And once they hit the top of the stretch, Greg, I mean, Christopher Elliott just shook the reins once or twice, and this horse opened up pretty easily, roused him up there. I don't even know if he did take out the stick there and kind of give him a little crack with it a couple of times, but the race was over before they even got to that point. So, and it was a chasm back to the rest of them. Macville ended up closing for second on the slight cutback in distance in there. But no doubt about your winner today. I wonder if anybody got claimed out of here. It'll be interesting to see.
4-1-5 finish. That trifecta for 50 cents, just over $31 in here. Underway with a slight second try. I think a lot of tickets, though. It's a tough one, a single. A horse coming off a 20 maiden claiming win. Probably 3s and 4.
I would think so.
For a lot of tickets in here. We got the late pick 5 next, so if you did get knocked out, as we move over to Tampa Bay Downs, race 5 is going to kick off their late pick 5. $8,000 claiming race, all for sale for that price. Horses only have a maiden win, so non-winners at 2 life. 5.5 furlongs coming up, and here's classy little Betty to kick off the post parade.
And dropping the claiming price in half. She does have a 41 buyer, though, going a distance of ground on the dirt here at Tampa. So
1 for 16 record next door. No horse that wants to be forward, and Barbaresco, baby.
Yeah, Skylar Spanabel riding for her mom, Kelly, in here. Does bring the early speed, but as you said, just 1 for 16 with only 1 second.
I mean, the nature of this condition, you're not going to like the records the most.
No.
Dropped cold, another one just 1 for 15.
Is coming off, though, a September layoff, first time over the Tampa surface.
Some upside here with Naughty Favors, second off a long time away.
Yeah, and honestly, Betty Licious, the horse, was a heavy favorite that won the race that they came out of, too, so.
Future Fortune has Jose Ferrer aboard.
Cuts back here, ran second on a similar cutback back in March from a distance of ground.
How about 1 for 66? This is Syllabus.
Yeah, it does have 7 seconds and 11 thirds, though, but I don't know. It's had a little bit of a tough time getting through this condition, I would say.
Pizzicato, Cesar Gonzalez aboard.
Yeah, got in front of Huge G, who we saw earlier on when dueling and sent to the front, so you'd think the same philosophy here, Send.
Playmaker is a player off that maiden claiming victory. That was back in December.
Yeah, and has some pace on paper to run into in here in this spot.
Very quick. And off the bench, J.J. Monet is going to fire out of there.
Yeah, got a 14-month layoff for this horse in this spot. We'll see what she brings.
And little Carly, 10-1 from the outside, more pace.
Yeah, another one who drops and has speed, but she's finished behind several of these in here, which is kind of like the MO of a couple of these horses in here, because as we know, they're a bit camera shy, just the non-winners of one.
We talked last week leading up to that Oaklawn Handicap, much better group, tougher group that was lining up in this year's edition. And now we might have a serious horse who can contend with some of the really big-time, big-name horses coming back this year in this older horse division with what we saw First Mission do in this race last Saturday.
Yeah, and the cool thing was he got such a sweet trip kind of saving ground, and Flavian's patience paid off in here. Flavian Pratt, I'm talking about, it worked out. He got a well-needed split when he couldn't get outside of the 7-horse in here, and he was able to go in between. It was a really nice race where he finally put it all together, because that's what we were kind of waiting for, right? And, you know, him to have this nice explosive effort in a stakes race like this. We'll see if he can kind of check off the bigger boxes now as the year goes on. I know they were talking Stephen Foster and some other races down the line, so maybe we can check off some grade 1 boxes with this horse. But it was nice to see this kind of effort come back and be able to overcome having to kind of shift ground inside, wait for a split, and get the job done against these horses in here.
He just missed in the Clark at the end of his 3-year-old campaign, which kind of showed what kind of ability he might have going forward. It's taken really a little bit of time to come around for Brad Cox, and now, as a 5-year-old, he's kind of saw his full, set of talents on display.
Yeah, and the fact that he was able to get the trip that he got and be able to parlay it and to be patient, and I mean, when you have Flavian Pratt on your back, I mean, again, the guy's hands and his riding skills are just been just crazy last year and even into this year. He's continuing that streak of graded stakes wins. And it's funny, too, because I know a lot of people were high on a horse like Skippy Longstocking in that spot, but we've seen it with Skippy before. When he runs against better horses, he tends not to run these big races. So everything kind of fell into First Mission's lap, and he was able to get the job done. So hopefully we'll see him in some grade 1s down the line this year, and he can keep it going for some world-class connection.
Fast as he ran. I mean, he's right up there with, for sure, with Locked.
Yeah.
Whoever you think the top older horses are, what they've done to this point, but right now it's probably that one. That 109 Buyer near the top of the list. And really cool horse behind him and Vanishing. I know sort of more of a sprinter, but a horse who's been able to carry his speed going longer. He's been a neat story.
Yeah, and he's been able to do it against some better horses as well. So other than Locked, I mean, nobody's really scaring you, at this point. So it's yours to take. So go out and take it, especially after a race like that the connections have been waiting to see. Maybe he's coming into his own now. We'll see as summer moves on. And the Stephen Foster is supposed to be next for this horse, so they say. So we'll see if we get a good effort out of him.
Back to Tampa, it's Naughty Favors the 4, who is favored at 2-1. Let's go to Jason Beam for the call to kick off the late Big 5.
Coming up. Little Carly and Sarah Hess to the outside, ready to kick off the late pick 5 here. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Little Carly hustled from that outside draw. Barbaresco Baby in the red and green colors is out quickly. Those two are 1-2 through that first 16th of a mile. J.J. Monet in the pink is out in third. Then comes Classy Little Betty. Naughty Favors advances between horses. Then comes Syllabus. Pizzicato is away in 7th. It's about 5 more back to Playmaker, who's 8th. Then comes Dropped Cold. Future Fortune is your early trailer as they sprint toward that far turn. Little Carly is just in front of Barbaresco Baby. They've gone 2.5, 3 in front of Naughty Favors. After a 22-second opening quarter mile, Little Carly tries to skirt away. Little Carly in front now by 3.5. Barbaresco Baby left back in second. J.J. Monet getting a little closer from third, still 4.5 off the lead. Then comes Naughty Favors. Pizzicato trying to wind it up. A long way back to Playmaker, who's trying to get involved, but still has 12 lengths to find. Little Carly's into the stretch. Still that 3.5 length advantage. It's Little Carly coming to the 8th pole. Company is coming toward the inside. Classy Little Betty. Naughty Favors is making up some ground. Pizzicato down the far outside. Little Carly has to make another 16th of a mile. Classy Little Betty coming through down along the inside. Pizzicato and Barbaresco Baby. Here comes Classy Little Betty up the inside. Classy Little Betty to win it. I believe Little Carly did hold second. It was close there with Pizzicato and a flying Future Fortune who photoed for the Miners.
Classy Little Betty up the fence for the victory here. Gets her second win in 10 career starts. This huge long shot trying to do it on the front end. Little Carly.
Yeah, Little Carly, Sire Hess took no prisoners there. Knew Skylar Spadabel was going to go anyway and still was able to get in front of the two who backed out pretty quickly. As far as Classy Little Betty goes, I know the best race was going long on an off-the-turf race, but actually got the pace today to close into. and dropped in half. And I think that was the key today, running against $8,000 horses for the first time. And Naughty Favors ended up, I don't know if they thought that there wasn't going to be as much pace on that Ronnie Allen, who's known anyway to get those horses out of that gate and can be forward. I don't know if they thought there was going to be more pace in this spot for Naughty Favors, or less, I should say, because they tried to keep him closer, and that took away his kick late. But Winner looked good. Got a nice trip up the rail from Marcos Menenses and got the job done.
At 11:01 to kick off that late pick 5. Prices when we come back. We'll get into the late pick 5 here in New York in this starter optional claiming 6.5 furlong sprint. Coming up, field of 5 will go postward, and there's a look at She's Complicated. Just put forth a big effort to break her maiden. That was with the Belmont barn. Claim now with Jamie Ness and Ruben Silvera looking for his second winner today when we come back.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
Back on our Wednesday coverage on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you by legendary Clayburgh Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. We have the late pick 5 coming up in just 13 minutes. There's a look at Blue Eyed Scout, 3-year-old filly. Now with the Brad Cox barn, claimed off a state-bred maiden claiming win at 1-5 last time out.
Yeah, it was a short price and got the job done that day, being up on the lead, and now gets claimed by Brad Cox, who overall has good numbers with this scenario, but only has one horse that was a maiden that he's actually done it with, which was surprising to me because I guess he doesn't claim many horses out of the maiden claiming ranks, but he's got good numbers overall.
The win, I just run a little bit faster too on a fast track, but the win on a sloppy seal track is going to need a lot better against, if they run their best races.
Against this group.
The 1, certainly the 6. Maybe even, well, I don't know, it's run a little faster than Viamente. I'm surprised this one's the favorite right now. That could change. It's early. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
You would have to think that short price, Greg, is due to connections, possibly, as we've just seen throughout the winter and even going back to last year, that Brad Cox and Sandy Goldfarb, when they team up to claim a horse, it usually results in a win next time out. So Blue-Eyed Scout, what I can say about her is I haven't seen her in a while, is that she has actually really grown and filled out tenfold, which you love to see for horses that come back as 3-year-olds now, as that she is. And she did have to work for that victory, but I will say she was sent hard for the lead. She couldn't quite get there. Then she switched out. Then she battled down the stretch by with a horse who was sitting behind her and ultimately just prevailed on class. So they have taken their time, though, to get her back to the races. So you wonder, was there an issue that has prevented her from coming back, or are they just looking for the right kind of spot? I don't know, but what I can say is that I do like what I'm seeing here, but it is a short price to take, as we'll take a look at number 5, Viamente, who did come back as a more seasoned 3-year-old, we'll say, at Colonial last time out. And she just looked really uncomfortable while running down on the inside. And she never switched her lead down the lane to her right outside lead, but she did stay on pretty bravely to only be beaten 2 lengths there in that race at Colonial. She's one I haven't seen since she was 2 as well, and she's done very well in the interim. She's filled out. She's got a great coat on her. She just looks a lot stronger than what she did as a 2-year-old, and wondering if she was one of those really cranked up juveniles that sometimes that just leads to horses being a little burnt out by the end of the year. And I think just having a little bit more time, a little bit more seasoning, she's actually settled quite nicely and therefore carries her weight a bit better. Now, the 1 is Brooklyn Rhapsody, who won emphatically for 25 last time, but was a voided claim after remaining on that left inside lead. She was pulled up and received an ambulance ride home. What I could tell is that I saw the attending veterinarian feeling her left front, but she's come back and has rattled off 3, albeit very slow breezes, but enough to get off the vet's list. So we'll see what we get from her. I don't mind what I'm seeing here in the paddock, as she is yet again well conditioned. She's forward, she's sharp and keen here in the paddock. All things you want to see, but can you trust her coming in off of that, just a effort, Greg, that just makes you scratch your head a little bit with what transpired afterwards?
Well, it was a fast race relative to this group that she ran in that effort. She actually, in the doubles, she is the favorite right now. Brooklyn Rhapsody, it is Blue-Eyed Scout in the pick 3. For Brad Cox in favor. As Maggie said, a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that she's now part of the Brad Cox barn. Let's take a look back at some stakes races for 3-year-olds that we saw last weekend. In the Bayshore, Moplex was so precocious early on, including that grade 3 Sanford win at Saratoga for this New York bred, the second start of his career. He had a battle with Faster Gator in here, and he wins the battle just barely.
Yeah, I think getting back to sprinting is ultimately what this horse wanted to do. It certainly helped. I mean, he's still undefeated now sprinting, and Manny Franco did a great job sticking to Faster Gator in here because, Faster Gator came in and was undefeated as well and showed some speed, but we all know how solid Manny can be when he finishes on a horse, and I think he helped Moplex along to the wire. But make no mistake, this horse just adds to what is a very deep New York bred group that we have this year, and I'm so over the moon for the program this year, and I've said it before on this show and on other shows that we do, that it just speaks so much to having a New York bred and how well that they can be and progress from 2 to 3, and ultimately he's going to be a good one this year too if they keep him sprinting, because this is what he wants to do, and he's game to the wire. He gives you everything he's got in the sprint.
Wins again against Open Company, collects another stakes victory, and earns the fastest figure in his career in doing it. As you mentioned, now 4 for 4 undefeated sprinting. Instant replay, he punches the ticket to the middle jewel of the Triple Crown of the Preakness Stakes with this win in the Bathhouse Row at Oaklawn for Brad Cox.
I thought this was actually a good effort when you take into consideration it's not like they were setting this ridiculous fast pace out there, and it took him a while to get going, and he finally did. And what I thought was funny was, Caldera has a little bit of hang, and we saw that at Sunland a bit, but I just thought Caldera ran a little bit more when instant replay came on the outside, and I think this race is going to end up kind of looking better than it looked in real time with the pace that happened, because I think that this horse actually was able to close and actually pick up the pieces late and do it fast. And now punches the ticket to Baltimore, so it's going to have some rest where some of these Derby horses won't. So I think a fresh horse going in, this horse, can figure in a spot like that. For sure. I think especially based on the way that this horse can pick up some other horses and is handy too, depending on the pace scenario.
As you said, kind of gets going best. It's weird because he used to be very quick.
Yes.
He was sort of almost a speed sprinter early on, and now he comes from well off the pace, but his best rhythm kind of comes late in a race. He'll get an extra 1/16 of a mile in the Preakness. Is that going to be a big benefit to him?
I think so. It's funny how early on, as you said, in his career, he showed speed, and then all of a sudden at 3 years old, the speed kind of went away a little bit. But that may not have been the worst thing in the world for him. Now he can pick up horses, and he learned maybe I could do this without having to exert so much early. So looked good, though. I will say that. And on paper, he was the best horse in the race.
Anthony Dutrow, Javier Castellano talking over what they're going to do with Sire Cat, who has never been on dirt, 2 turf starts, tried synthetic last start, and that's where the maiden claiming win came, and now comes the dirt debut.
Yeah, it kind of got in front of what I think was like a marginal at best group down there, but we've seen that if you can get in front of fields on the synthetic down at Gulfstream, you carry your speed well. This horse did show good early speed for sure, 21 and 4:45, and was able to see it through. We'll see if with this pedigree, this horse can take to the dirt in here. I would think that if this horse shows any kind of speed, this horse is probably going to be in front in here, depending on what Blue Eyed Scout does. But I think 5-1 is a fair price if you want to take a shot on a horse who's not seen dirt before and improved last time out on a drop in class. This is a tougher spot, though.
She is the big unknown here, getting on the surface for the first time. There's Ruben Silvera on the outside runner. She's complicated, coming off that maiden claiming victory. We start our post parade with Brooklyn Rhapsody. Big performance to win by more than 10 lengths last start. As Maggie said, though, got in the ambulance on the way back, has come back to work since.
Yeah, and makes the switch to the Cantor Marcy barn as well. Just the races at this level, Greg, have not been good enough for me.
So here's the dirt debut for Sire Cat.
Hopefully going to bring that speed. Javier Castellano will play the break, see what we get, and see if it translates to dirt. If it does, this horse will be quick early.
Surprising, still favored here. It's Brad Cox off the claim, Blue Eyed Scout.
Yeah, it's going to have to do more against this group. Won on the big drop down, though, last time out.
It's Viamente, Kinder Carmouche for Joe Sharp.
She's run some races that are good enough. My biggest knock on her is she just doesn't change leads all that quickly, and sometimes it costs her races.
And she's complicated. Put it all together to break her maiden on a sloppy sealed surface, going 7 furlongs last out.
Yeah, was it the drop last time that helped her? Was it the track that helped her? Was it a combination of both? But either way, she ran a solid race, and she ran a nice figure in doing so.
Let's take a look at it. This was back on April 12th on the sloppy going. From an early stalking position, would take command about halfway through the race and then just open up a huge lead.
Yeah, she made easy work of this group on the drop-in class. And she got a good trip just off the leaders in here and got that lead into the turn, as you said, and just drew away. I like the way that she leveled off in this race and drew away late. I wonder today, Greg, if she's going to fall into almost the same trip, depending on what the 2 and the 4 does here, because she's not going to be too far out of it early. So we'll see what she does first start against winners. For me, I know I picked her on top, and she's a little heady there. As she goes into the turn, she's feeling it a bit. I'd like to see if she can do it on a fast track today. But if she can replicate the way she ran last race and translate it to this race, she's going to be tough in this spot.
5-2 right now. Silvera getting aboard for the first time here. Jamie Ness off the claim, coming away from Belmont. Here's the big unknown in the race. So 3 starts, sprinting on grass, went long on grass, and then cut back to sprinting on synthetic, and as you said, was incredibly quick early in this race, and this is where she broke her maiden.
Yeah, and dropping in class, even money favorite coming out of the 2 turf races against a marginal group. She had a little bit of trouble in the debut sprinting. Then she got knocked around and pinned down on the rail in the second start stretching out, which she doesn't want to do. So she got back to sprinting. We put her on synthetic. She got in front of this group, and she was able to wire the field. Whether or not this translates to dirt with the pedigree she has, we'll see. I'm not so sure it will. But if she can get in front of these, we've seen horses braven up when they get in front, and you're getting a good price on her to find out. I think her price is a little bit inflated as compared to what the 4 is right now. I'd rather much have her over the 4, but her speed is her weapon, and that's what she's going to have to use in here for sure.
Well, as we send it down to Maggie, are you seeing anything with Sire Cat here that makes you think she's going to like this surface today?
No. but she does look fast. I will give her that. She's definitely a sprinter, and I like everything that Paul had to say about her 3 efforts so far, because I just completely agree. They're taking a little bit of a shot here, I suppose. But even when you dive into the pedigree, right? She's by Invincible Spirit, more turf meant. The Dam, she went 4 for 11 on the turf. Another sibling who was a winner, albeit I believe mostly in Australia, won on the turf as well. So Sire Cat, she definitely has that proverbial turf hoof to her. She's really well turned out. She's very healthy, broad type of filly that just looks like she wants to sprint on the turf, not this surface here. But we'll see. You're getting paid if you like her. Moving on to number 6, She's Complicated. I'm apt to say that she's one that's not really the biggest fan of a fast track because she's so slight. She has a very narrow frame, and just what I've seen throughout my time watching horses is that horses built like her, they prefer a wet track. Obviously the drop in class helped as well in her last start, but I just wonder if she's one that is really going to kind of, I know say class up, but because a lot of these have won against state bred competition, and she has a race last time out that would fit very nicely with the main players in here. But she just doesn't carry enough weight for me. She was a little bit more settled in the paddock than what I've seen from her in the past. But again, we'll see how she negotiates the fast going today. I really like what I saw from Viamente, Greg, as she looked great in the paddock and even better out on the racetrack, warming up beautifully with Kendrick aboard.
2-1 on Viamente, the 5. Thank you, Maggie. Kendra Carmouche, Joe Sharp. That's the 6. She's Complicated. Wow, 5-1. That is an enticing price, or is it a bad sign? I was going to ask you more, going back to the 4. How do they know she's going to run this kind of race today to make her 8-5? Now she's 9-5, but she's a huge favorite.
This has to be all the Brad Cox factor. I pulled the stat for Brad Cox. Overall, he's 21 for 52 with a $1.88 ROI, 32 in the money. First off the claim on dirt. He's 11 for 28 in sprints. But as I said, he only had 1 maiden in that sample. He's 0 for 1 with that, and the horse did run back to be second in that spot. They don't claim many maiden claimers in the Brad Cox, barn or organization. And I don't know, man. I know the drop down certainly helped this horse last time out, and this horse was able to see the job out as 30 cents on the dollar favorite. But, I mean, Viamente's, even though Viamente can run on the wrong lead, she's tougher, and I think a better horse than Blue Eyed Scout. We'll find out. I mean, She's Complicated, has that race coming in. Okay, you want to see it again on a fast track, fine. Brooklyn Rhapsody hasn't run well at this level, but has run well against claimers, but is coming off that last line. And we don't know what we're going to get from Sita Cat, who's the longest price.
Blue Eyed Scout was against state-bred maiden 40.
Yes.
And it wasn't even in the realm of what the 1 did against Winners last start.
Right. I agree.
I don't understand 2-1 on the 4 and 7-2 on the 1. Brad Cox is one of the best trainers in the sport. He can't change fundamentally who this filly is to this point.
No, or how fast she's going to go. So I agree with you there. I'm not her biggest fan in this spot, but now the betting's kind of really shifted, and the 5 took over is the heavy favorite in this spot at 6-5. And she's got her own questions to answer, too, in Viamente. Last time out, she was at Colonial in that race. Speed did well in that race and held up, but she was on her wrong lead, and her wrong lead cost her the race here on New Year's Day as well, not being able to switch off as quick.
So 6-5 favoritism shifting to this one. Stepping in Viamente, Kendra Carmouche, trainer Joe Sharp. We're set for the first leg of this late pick 5. Good luck. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Goes in. All set. And they're off. Stumble at the start for Blue Eyed Scout in between horses. They're lined up on the front end. Blue Eyed Scout now recovering, is up by a half length. After the stumble is now a half length in front, but they are tightly bunched at the rail, trying to move on through his Brooklyn Rhapsody, trying to hold that position, will not get there. It's going to get shuffled back to 4th as Viamente is taken 2nd, 3 wide. That's She's Complicated. These are the top 3 with at the rail. Brooklyn Rhapsody, Green Cap is in 4th. Just in behind them is Sita Cat, who's the trailer, 22 seconds flat for a pressured opening quarter mile. They've got less than 4 furlongs to go, and the leader is Blue Eyed Scout with a neck advantage. Viamente stalking this pace setter, starts to move forward here for Kendra Carmouche, and Viamente's on the move. Losing some ground there with She's Complicated, trying to split rivals. Here comes Sita Cat, and Sita Cat is gotten that split. Cat is now challenging for third, and after the top duo, right there still Brooklyn Rhapsody looking for room. They approach the top of the stretch, a 45-second flat half-mile time, and Viamente looks strong at the top of the stretch, and Viamente now kicks on. It's Viamente who kicks for home. Brooklyn Rhapsody is in the clear, and here comes Brooklyn Rhapsody. Lugging in there was Viamente, is getting over to the rail with a final furlong to go. A little green there, Viamente is trying to straighten up here. Brooklyn Rhapsody is trying to reach this leader as they approach the final 16th. Viamente is still holding off Brooklyn Rhapsody, who gives game chase. Viamente is wandering, but that's your winner. Viamente wins it over Brooklyn Rhapsody. Then came Cat, then Blue Eyed Scout in 1 minute 17.74 seconds.
Viamente, Kinder Carmouche, Joe Sharp wins for the second time in 7 career tries.
Doesn't matter that she still gets a little bit goofy on that lead, but she took it to Blue Eyed Scout today and was able to put that runner away as they came off of the turn. And even though you can see coming off the turn, she's going to get a little bit silly with her body language, but she still did enough to hold off Brooklyn Rhapsody, who ran a much improved race. And actually the 2-horse, Cat, actually was nowhere near the early pace, ended up being taken back and rallied a bit to run third in the dirt debut for her. But went off as the favorite in here and got the job done. And to be fair, I mean, she's faced some better horses along the way, and she's raced well enough. And she found a field today that she was able to beat, but Blue Eyed Scout was bad. I mean, just stopped.
Still going off second choice.
Yeah,
not favored in the end, but yeah, way over bet. Viamente, 6-5. Joe Sharp, Kinder Carmouche, International Equine, and a filly by Vacoma. Former Met Mile winner for George Weaver, with the win here as the favorite to start off this late pick 5 here in New York.
Yeah, got the job done, and the late money showed for this horse, and rightly so. I mean, like you, didn't understand the money for Blue Eyed Scout, didn't matter. Went to the front in here, but just got pressed by a better horse and got put away late. Brooklyn Rhapsody was a horse that I thought ran really well, considering was able to sit a trip behind the pace, able to tip out 3 wide and make a run, especially coming off of the last start with the issues that this horse had. And for really not having performed all that well at this level, having been beaten double digits in both starts against tries like this horse's, today it worked out, and it was a much better second place effort.
So Viamente with the win as a 6-5 favorite as we go back to Tampa. 6 furlong sprint coming up in this race to start their late pick 4. $8,000 claiming tag, all for sale for that price here. Non-winners of 3 lifetime. The condition. Favorite, Calypso Charlie, who has never been on dirt. Interesting. Here is Saint No More. Big drop in class, major player.
Yeah, 16 months away. Had speed last time we saw this horse. Gets Lasix for the first time. Plummeting in class, now 4 years old. We'll see what we get from the rail.
2-time winner from 32 tries. This is Russian Hammer at 12-1.
I will say the last 2 starts made runs into the pace early. Maybe a better timed ride this time will help.
Hey Moon, big number.
Yeah, it drops in class again, but it's run for the 8,000 before unsuccessfully.
Difficult to make a case for this one. Haps victory.
Yeah, in the most recent starts, anyway, hasn't really factored late.
Federal Exchange actually started off the year in okay form and has tailed off.
Yeah, the last couple of starts have not been good. Even took a trip to Turfway to try to synthetic, and that didn't work out.
This is surprising. This one's favored in here. Never been on this surface.
I actually like this horse today, Greg. We'll talk about later. Not as the favorite, but I do like the horse.
No, certainly a contender,
yeah,
but not to be favored. Awesome entry. Has the best race probably of anyone last time out.
Yeah.
13-1.
For sure, and had pace. Maybe he wants to sprint all along.
Granted success off since late January.
Yeah, he'll probably come from off the pace in here.
Handsome Playboy, massive drop in class at 6-1.
This is another one. Turf to dirt, cutting back and dropping very heavily in class for Gerald Bennett.
Stakes placed, that horse, and he's 6-1 right now. Yeah. Here's Fenwick with Sam Camacho.
It was a good second last time out. It was one of his better races that we've seen in quite a while.
Ambulante, coming off a second-place finish at the level.
Ran well, considering it was very wide last time out. Was 39-1 in that spot.
And Novali, off since April of last year.
Drops, and I think this is the right spot for this horse. 8,000 non-winners of 2. Won that race 2 starts back. It has some 50 buyers prior to that, running for 62.5 over at Gulfstream. So this is probably the right level and right spot.
4 minutes away, late pick 4 from Tampa. We will return as we get closer to the start. Late pick 5 here in New York. It's Viamente, Joe Sharp, 2 today for Kinder Carmouche. for International Equine here. It wins as the favorite.
An aggressive ride by Kendra Carmouche, too, coming out of the gate, taking it to Blue Eyed Scout early, and was able to put that one away rather easily. Girlie, you need to work a little bit on your lead changes and not being so goofy in the lane, but it did not matter for her today as she was able to see this through from Brooklyn Rhapsody at the end of the day. And listen, Greg, she's run races prior to that were competitive and against horses like this as well. So she went off as the favorite today. She got the job done. She just has to correct a few more little things along the way.
$4.40 for the victory, 5-1-2 finish. Again, that filly debuting on the surface, Sea to Cat, not in front like we expected, but does hit the board. I think we're going to see potentially back on the grass very soon.
I would think so. And listen, that was a nice prep for this horse to get on the grass. And listen, it was a horse that had a ton of speed early. Didn't show it today, but actually closed late. So nice little change of pace for that horse.
All right, we'll get into the fifth in a moment. We're going to get you back to Tampa here shortly, but let's talk more Kentucky Derby. And we got 5 barns in this year's edition of the Kentucky Derby already with a Derby win on the resume. So the question is, which trainer with a Derby winner already is most likely to add another this year?
I'm going to go with Bob Baffert. I'm going to go with Bob. I haven't fully given up on Citizen Bull yet. I know that Citizen Bull did not run a great race last time out, finishing 4th, and was on the lead in there in the San Diego Derby. And there's some questions about distance with this horse. But I think the horse gets one pass for me. We'll see where this horse draws in the Derby. And as far as Rodriguez goes for Bob Baffert, I know that the Wood has not been the most productive prep in a while. And I know that this horse was able to get things his own way on the front end and able to wire the field, but the figure still came back a 101. It wasn't like he got an 80 figure for that race. Maybe he's a horse that's coming into his own at the right time, and he did show in the Bob Lewis he could sit a little bit off the pace, and I know he lost to Citizen Bull that day, but he did show that he could rate a little bit. So for me, it's Bob Baffert. You want to make a case for Bill Mott? I'll let you have sovereignty and make a case for him, but for me, I think Bill Mott's probably got bookend horses that can do well here and get the job done and maybe get him another Derby.
Sovereignty for Bill Mott, attracting a lot of attention, not just with his races, certainly won that Fountain of Youth and then the runner-up finish in the Florida Derby, but the way he worked the other day.
Yes,
he worked on Saturday, I believe. Horse who's not usually a very good workhorse, and he was very active in the morning, so that has a lot of people excited about his chances. Todd Pletcher with Grande, one of the more lightly raced horses going into the Derby, and he ran very good in that Wood.
It's funny when you talk about, the Wood and we talk about Rodriguez. Grande ran, I think, about a 16th of a mile more than anybody else in that field, was wide all the way around the track that day. And it's funny, I watched the Wood actually in the film theater, and Todd was in there, and the first thing that he said was, we ran like a 16th of a mile more than anybody else in that spot. I like Grande as a horse. I just don't know if he's got enough foundation yet to get the job done in the Derby, though.
You picked a good one with that question to go with a man who's won 6 in the past.
Yes.
And it'll be, again, the first time in a few years. Bob Baffert back in Louisville. It's going to be one of the great storylines going into that first Saturday in May. And we'll see if a Wood winner can get it done. Part of that speed scenario, obviously, which is going to be a hot pace up front we expect in this year's Kentucky Derby. So we get you back to Tampa. And still, Calypso Charlie, who certainly is interesting with some of the races he has run, but with races he has run really primarily on synthetic. This is going to be a dirt debut coming up, and this is the favorite right now.
I kind of think in a way, Greg, that when you look at some of the other horses that are taking money in here, the horse on the rail, Saint No More, who's plummeting in class after being away for 16 months. He was stake placed, finishing 4th in that juvenile sprint. There's so many questions to answer there. Maybe he wanted to sprint all along. Maybe he just can't run anymore. We'll find out. We'll see what kind of speed he has. The horse that's not taking as much money that I thought would be Handsome Playboy on the drop, especially with the connections being Gerald Bennett. So that horse dead on the board kind of tells me something. But that horse also was second in the inaugural a long time ago behind Super Chow, who we've seen around here be good. And Fenwick was 9-1 last start. It's 4-1 today. He's still just 2 for 24, and last time out was one of his better efforts in quite a while that he cycled back around to. So I think at the end of the day, with those horses kind of taking money, I didn't expect Calypso Charlie to be 3-1 in this spot, but I just think a new face on a new surface with a little bit of pace to probably close into is the way the bettors are thinking or going in this spot.
The 1, the 9, massive class drops for those two. Long layoff, obviously, with the 1. The 9 didn't quite come back, what you would expect, but it was against a ton better in that March 15th race. And then you have the 7, who I know 62-1 last start, but the fastest race probably anybody has run in here. Can he do it again off that April 4th performance? We'll find out. Jason Beam, the call. Here's race 6 from Tampa.
Jose Bautista to the outside, the filly, or the mare rather, taking on the boys. Novelli coming up. And in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Caught him in a very good line. Amalante toward the outside is quick. Driving through down along the fence as St. No More is coming up to challenge. From the far outside, Novelli is right there in the black colors. Calypso Charlie's driving through. There's 5 of them right in a line. Haps Victory is also right there. Those 5 across the track. And behind them, Handsome Playboy was away in 6th. Length and a half more back to Russian Hammer, who moves through inside of Fenwick. They're 7th and 8th. They're 3 clear of Granted Success, who's 9th. Then comes Hey Moon, the 2 at the back. Federal Exchange and Awesome Entry is up front. St. No More just in front of Haps Victory and a 3-wide Calypso Charlie. 22.56 seconds for the opening quarter mile. And long shot Haps Victory up to poke ahead in front of St. No More. Now Handsome Playboy moves through inside of Calypso Charlie, who's back to 4th and under a drive. Fenwick trying to wind it up is now 4th on the outside. Russian Hammer's also closing in. Haps Victory just in front, but floating wide. Haps Victory drifting out to about the 4 path is narrowly in front. Cutting the corner there was Handsome Playboy, who moves through outside of St. No More. Russian Hammer has room down at the fence, and Fenwick down the far outside. So the picture changes here at the 8th pole. Russian Hammer and Fenwick, those are the 2 that go on. Fenwick has the most momentum. Russian Hammer back to 2nd. Fenwick edging clear in the final stages. It's going to be Fenwick, your favorite to score here. Russian Hammer looks to hold on for 2nd. After Awesome Entry, he was last. Early closed all the way up to get to 3rd. Granted Success was 4th.
Fenwick, Sammy Camacho for Reynaldo Yanez. And I didn't see the final price here. Gets the victory. 3rd win, 25 career starts coming off that distant runner-up last out.
Yeah, he went off as the favorite in here ultimately. I don't know what the price actually was, but when in doubt, just take Camacho. We learned 2 things here. 1, the 6 does not like dirt. 2, your 7 came flying late from off the pace, just a little
far
too
back
late.
Early.
And the 2 actually got a much better ride this time because he made the move on the inside part of the track and was not rushed early into that pace. Timed it right, just got beat by a horse in Fenwick who cycled back to one of his better starts last time and even better one this time. So hats off to him, but he ended up ultimately going off the favorite.
10-7 in that 6th. The Tampa prices when we come back. Saying goodbye to you. Enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it as always, being with you and everybody else out there.
Sarah Abad, we're going to join me after a timeout. We'll talk more Kentucky Derby when we come back. Long shots who have a real shot to win the Run for the Roses this first Saturday in May. We'll talk about that scenario when we come back as we continue along with our coverage here on Fox Sports 2. Stay with us.
Bright future indeed. Bright future, the son of Curlin to win by 4. Bright future, Proxy, here's the line. Photo finish, Bright future.
Bright future, look at that. Bright future, the class prevails.
Bright future, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants.
Drain the Clock will bound home the winner. drain the clock. Jackie's Warrior, drain the clock by a head.
$120,000. $100,000 to the back.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Back with you on our Wednesday coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you by Hillendale at Alapa. Gorgeous Wednesday afternoon, sun shining as we get set for our first turf action of the year coming up. That'll be in race 6. We'll close out the card with a race on the grass as well. I'm joined by Sire El-Badwi. Good to see you.
It's a nice day out. Perfect return for turf racing, and really looking forward to seeing what we get from those full fields later on today.
Yeah, race 6 going to kick off that turf action. We're one race away from that coming up. We're going to talk Derby, though, and throw you right into the fire as you just sat down and get comfortable. Let's talk about the major prep winners as those 100-point races. Wood Memorial winner Rodriguez, we just talked about. Burnham Square, the Bluegrass. Journalism will go to the Derby as the favorite. You look at this list, though, and which non-100-point prep winner, in your eyes, is the most intriguing going into the first Saturday in May?
Well, there's a couple that I think deserve an opportunity to be discussed and still have a say in what's going to ultimately play out in that Derby. And Cole Battle's one of them, a horse who didn't win that final prep, the Arkansas Derby, and ran third that day. But prior to that, he'd done nothing wrong on the dirt, undefeated on that surface, and had done very well over that road to the Kentucky Derby through Oaklawn, and didn't run that badly in defeat to Sandman that day either. As you can see, he's getting the victory here, and he's that tactical type of horse where he's been able to adapt to how the paces have been playing in front of him, have that closing kick if necessary, and maybe he just made that first early move into what was such a hot pace. And Sandman and Publisher just made the right moves at the right time to finish ahead of him. Maybe if he times that differently with that 1.25 miles and potentially a different pace setup, he could still be a player, and he's going to be a little bit forgotten because he doesn't have that big win coming in.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it's lessons learned. His trainer, Lonnie Briley, felt Jorge Vargas moved a little bit too soon in that race. Another horse who just worked Tuesday, Churchill Downs. And Lonnie Briley said he's going better every week. Not a big workhorse usually in the morning, but thought he worked really well on Tuesday. So we'll see if they try and time things a little bit differently in the Kentucky Derby. Who else is on that list for you?
Sovereignty. I mean, I don't think lost anything at all in finishing second in his final prep to Pan Street, finishing second in that Florida Derby, and here he is winning the Fountain of Youth. Junior Alvarado had an injury. He was sidelined for that Florida Derby. He's aboard for this Fountain of Youth, and he's going to be back on in the Kentucky Derby for Bill Mott. This is a horse that's going to need some pace to develop, but he has that foundation. He has those 2-year-old races. He's faced some good company. He was the winner of that race that's proven to be very productive moving forwards on the road to the Kentucky Derby. And he's really done nothing wrong either. So he's another one. What kind of price are you going to get? I don't know. He's going to be one of the discussed ones as he ran very well in his final prep, and he needs a little bit of that hot pace to develop in front of him. But he's another major contender for sure.
I think he doesn't have to worry about the pace. He's going to get plenty of it probably with who's lining up in this race. Another one, we just talked about it when Paul was on. Usually not much of a horse who works in the morning, doesn't show a whole lot. He was very active when he was on the track at Churchill Downs on Saturday, so they're very excited about that workout. And I don't know, there's a chance the way he's run, the way he did it off the bench in that first start back as a 3-year-old, I was maybe third, fourth choice Derby day.
I think he's going to get bet. I think he's a horse people have been following for quite some time, and I think he's one that really piqued a lot of interest as that 2-year-old when he was showing that he was coming back early 3-year-old season as well for top connections. He's going to take some play in here. I don't really see him being among the top 2 favorites, but he's going to be, I think, among the top 5.
Can't wait. We are 10 days away from the first Saturday in May. You can play it all by getting signed up right there at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime, including Churchill Downs and the Kentucky Derby. Get that offer, the $25 free bet, and that $200 deposit match new customer bonus. Punch in that code and sign up for new members, Derby25. And you'll get all those offers right there at NairaBets.com. Play the Oaks, the Derby, and beyond. As we get set for the first leg of the Triple Crown, just 10 days away. We got race 5 here in New York. Approaching the 8-minute mark to post here. 7 furlongs, $15,000 claiming race. And there's a look at He's Got This. Just claimed away from Jamie Ness last time out in a barn we've not heard much about.
Former assistant to John Toscano, so we'll see what Greg does on his own now, but always hard to take a horse from Jamie Ness and see what you can do with them. But this horse has held his form for many different connections.
New barn we're going to see here coming up in this one. We have a new face on top of the 5-gun Maestro we're going to see, but we know the family well as we go down to Maggie.
They're all over the place. Of course, that is the Mirage family. And here with younger brother to our good friend Rajiv. Christian, talk a little bit about bringing your tack here to New York.
It's something that I've always dreamed about, so it feels real nice. I was always here with their Jeep when I was younger, so it's cool just coming back here, but now doing it myself.
I was going to say, in the jock room, you spent a lot of time?
Yeah, I was always with them in there, so it was like coming back again for round 2.
Looking at you, I know a lot of people would find it hard to believe that you at one time weighed 170 pounds. Yeah. Talk a little bit about the hard work, dedication, and drive that got you to this point.
It took a lot of time, but I always knew what I wanted to do, so it wasn't really, it was just taking a small win every single day, every step at a time, you know, just taking it day by day.
Well, we wish you the best of luck and a lot of success here at the Big A.
Thank you.
All right, Christian Mirage, and we'll see. We'll get him loose like his cousin Romero a little bit later.
We can talk all day.
Daddy.
Looking forward to seeing how he fares here on this very difficult circuit. So Rajiv Mirage, his brother Rajiv, of course, at one time, one of the top riders here in New York, and worked with us last summer, Saratoga. We wish him the absolute best.
Definitely. He's got a live shot with a horse that ran very well last time in Gun Maestro, and we'll have to come up with a good nickname for him as well. We have the handsome cousin. Now we're going to need one for the younger brother as well.
Let's give him a few mounts before we work on that. We have some time to think about something for him, but I'm sure he's going to start chiming in on his brother too, as Romero does.
I wouldn't be surprised.
8-5 favorite. What do you think? Well, the horse is going to ride here. What do you think about the chances of Gun Maestro?
He seems like a tough type to really get along with well because he just seems to have that high head action and not the easiest type of horse to settle. I thought his last race was a good effort where he kind of seemed done early and re-rallied towards the outside after re-engaging. So we'll see how he gets along with him. He can have some ability at times.
Well, remaining half of the entry here, this is Kahala, who will break from post 4, Ilke Kentramachi barn.
Yeah, he needs to get back to some of his faster races. I thought that He's Got This did more running than him when they met a few starts back.
The rail to a horse coming off a win. Here's Persistent Danger.
This horse was ridden very well last time out by Maddie Oliver, an aggressive ride, and maybe she does the same again today.
He's Got This. I thought primed to move forward, and the public agrees right now, 8-5.
He shows up with that level of consistency. His last 3 races all make him a player, and he should get a nice tracking trip.
Screaming Uncle. Last few starts has done just that.
Yeah, his form is declining overall, but he does have some early speed.
Here's Christian Mirage on Gun Maestro.
We'll see what he does now coming back in after that good effort last time where he was forward early, took back, and then re-rallied to finish a closing second to Persistent Danger.
Dad's Good Runner at 9-1.
Another one whose form currently not the best, but he does have some early speed as well.
And outside post, 4-time winner. Here's Majestic Tiger.
His last race actually not as bad as it seems. I thought he gets a jockey change to Heeman Harkey, and he was just sort of always running along and finding trouble throughout his last race.
8-5 favorite as we get set for this 5th coming up. He's Got This. We'll see if in fact he does coming up, trying to get the 6th win and 1st of 2025 when we come back.
The brilliance of the legendary Arrowgate and the speed and stamina of the Sire of Sires, Uncle Mo. Introducing Petulante, the first son of Arrowgate to stand in New York after winning handily at first asking.
Petulante! He's got a kick here, and he's going to prove much the best.
He won or placed in all 7 of his lifetime starts, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile.
Petulante, Nimbus class, Petulante!
Petulante, now standing in New York. For information, visit IHDVStallions.com today.
Back in our Wednesday coverage here, and we're a race away from the first turf race of the season coming up here on America's Day at the Races here in New York. Our program brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. 2 minutes away from race 5. 7 furlongs in this $15,000 claiming race for 4-year-olds and up, and price has gotten even shorter since we left. On this one here, he has got this. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, checking in with your favorite, Greg, as I too cannot wait for turf racing to come back here. One more race to get through, though, as we'll take a look here at your favorite. He's got this, and just a little bit of insight on the new trainer for He's Got This. It is Greg Charlery, who was the assistant to the late John Toscano. So John was the one who had originally claimed him, but unfortunately we did lose John a couple of weeks ago. He's Got This, though. It looks great in his coat, which was my main complaint with him over the winter time. Very healthy, really settled. And I think between your two favorites, the 7 furlongs is going to be the biggest determining factor of who's successful, because I wonder if it's a little bit short for He's Got This, who just has that incredibly, like I said, laid back demeanor, where I wish he was a little bit more energetic, a little bit more eager with the cutback, but physically looks great. Whereas we turn our attention to number 2, Persistent Danger, he might come up a little short going the 7 furlongs, because he is so stout, so short coupled, and is a horse who was pretty settled today. He was a bit agitated with the bridle or the lip chain earlier, and was making it well known that he was not happy about it. But once they took that off, he was much more settled, and even more so out on the racetrack. But he's one that is dappled head to toe. Again, I went with the 2 in here, Persistent Danger, just because I prefer speed. Not that he's got this as that slow, but turning back, we'll see how much speed gets away from him. As taking a look at a long shot that just caught my eye, honestly, that's number 7, Majestic Tiger. Ran okay from a speed figure standpoint last time out in the mud here at this level. And I just thought he looked really healthy. He's moving well out there. Looks like a happy horse. And sometimes with these lower level lower level claimers, that's all you really need to be. So possibly a horse that's heading in the right direction. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. See what happens here in this 5th coming up as we get set for the pick 4. Favoritism really not moved off the 3.
No, I mean, he just comes in with the proven form, and he's one that he didn't have this big effort last time that was better than his recent races. He's not stepping up in class the way that some of these others are. So it makes sense that the betting public gravitating towards him. But I went with Persistent Danger as well as Maggie did, just preferring the early speed that he showed last time. And that was a difference-making ride by Matty Oliver to have this horse have that inside position and just never relent on giving that up.
It's a big jump forward for that horse as a 6-year-old. And we'll see if that form can be maintained, at least from the recent form. And it was on a wet track. Can this one do it again on a dry track here coming up? 2-1 from the inside post. Matty Oliver back aboard. But he's got this favored 6-5 next door with Christopher Elliott. Set for the pick 4. Chris Griffin the call.
Dad's Good Runner. Majestic Tiger to the outside. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Good speed from Screaming Uncle is sent right out towards the front with Persistent Danger is up in the early mix 2. Dad's Good Runners in the yellow cap is 3 wide. 4 wide will be Majestic Tiger. Right in behind the leading group is Gun Maestro is watching from 5th. The 2 at the back, Kahala with He's Got This. They work up the backstretch and no easy leads here. Persistent Danger is hounded to the outside by Screaming Uncle, and Screaming Uncle puts a head back in front. 22-4 for that quick opening quarter mile, and the front 2 go at it. Dad's Good Runner is settling off of them as in 3rd. Gun Maestro starts to make up some ground from 4th, is in behind rivals, just steadied there as they work into the far turn now. Holding that 4th spot is Majestic Tiger from the back, Kahala, and He's Got This. The front 2 still sprinting away. Screaming Uncle at a huge number. Persistent Danger is down towards the inside and battles on. Trying to catch them both as Majestic Tiger is in the clear, and Majestic Tiger starts to make up some ground, but the front 2 still there, and Screaming Uncle is trying to edge away from Persistent Danger, who battles on back to the inside. The front 2 still go at it. Can Screaming Uncle pull off a huge upset, or can Persistent Danger hold on towards the inside? Here come the closers from far out of it, but the 16th left to go. Screaming Uncle is 46-1. Screaming Uncle got it. Screaming Uncle over Persistent Danger. Then came Dad's Good Runner and Majestic Tiger in 1 minute 23.82 seconds.
Screaming Uncle had really no form coming into this race, more than double the price of anybody on the board. 46-1. I think we have a carryover already.
Right, big form reversal for this one. A horse who, yeah, he had that early speed, but he hadn't been that aggressively ridden in quite some time. Well, Omar Hernandez Moreno gets off Gun Maestro and gets on Screaming Uncle today, puts him right with Persistent Danger. Maybe he took something out of that last race and said, I can't let this horse get away from me. And he was able to go by at a gigantic price.
Had to think. I mean, these two went fairly fast, especially for the level.
I thought
the
Majestic
first quarter,
Tiger.
first half, you thought they were going to back up.
I thought Majestic Tiger was going to do something. Your favorite was nowhere. He's Got This. And the pace totally held together, even though they did go very quickly.
Just hold together. It was a long way back to 3rd. No one made up ground in here. That's incredible. Screaming Uncle 46-1. Incredibly illogical result here in the 5th.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with this one. He was not moving in a direction that suggested he was going to show up in a big way today, but great ride by Omar Hernandez Moreno. Just keep him right there, and he was able to have a little bit more stamina.
That is probably enough that we're going to have a much more intriguing pick 6 on Thursday.
I agree. And if you have it the rest of the way, good luck to you, because I could not have come up with this one.
4, 2, 6, 7. When you saw these two battling up front, had to think both of them were going to back up. That was not the case at all. They go 1-2 all the way around the racetrack. Screaming Uncle able to grab that edge when it counts the most. And here's what's ahead. Back on the lawn for the first time here at 2025, our first turf race of the season. When we come back, stay with us.
Twirling Candy, proving Lane's End's stallion-making tradition. Twirling Candy has seen success on the track and in the sales ring, siring multiple Grade 1 winners and millionaires, including Exalted, Ice Cream U-Screen, AG Bullet, and Walkathon, and reaching 7-figure yearling and 2-year-old sales. Twirling Candy, a leader of his generation.
These New York bred foals represent many sires: War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at NYRA tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. A proven sire with over 200 wins, 16% wins per starts, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as Open Company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on our Wednesday coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Gainesway. Power, passion, performance. And I think a lot of people, handicappers, waving the white flag right now after this performance. 46-1, Screaming Uncle.
You might say they're Screaming Uncle while they rip up their tickets, because this was an aggressive ride by Omar Hernandez Moreno. He kept this horse engaged and right up and on the pace, and he just had a little bit more stamina. He's one that had been going that further distance, cutting back ever so slightly from the mile versus Persistent Danger, trying to go a little bit further, but these two went quick, and Greg, as you were saying, nobody else doing any running from the back.
Unreal. That they went fairly fast too up front, neck and neck, and they both wind up 1-2 here, and no one making up any ground on them. Screaming Uncle, 4th win from 20 career starts. The form this year had just been really abysmal, but getting this horse more forward today, and a completely different runner at a huge price, $95 for the win. Early pick 5 comes back over $2,000. Had been extremely formful to this point. Basically Screaming Uncle making that happen. And we'll see what happens here the rest of the way. Up next, this is what we've been waiting for, our first turf race of the season. We are back on the green, mile and a 16th on the turf. It's on the outer turf course, maiden special weight, where Chad Brown has the odds-on 3-5 favorite. Surprise, surprise. Midway Memories, who just missed by a nose first time out.
Yeah, actually not the favorite Chad Brown entrant in that race at Tampa. That went to your 3rd place finisher in there, but it's been a productive race. We saw a horse that finished further down the line come back and win in her next start.
So a short price to get it done here in start number 2. So we've been waiting, a long, long time for this. Maggie, what does the crew do over the cold months here to keep this turf course ready to go for the return?
Well, much like us that we do with our children, Greg, they bundle it up to make sure that it is not decimated throughout the winter. It doesn't have to freeze. And so therefore, that growth is kept alive. It's just like, keeping a blanket on, a permeable blanket for this course to grow, to thrive when these warmer months roll around. And boy, does it do a spectacular job. As behind me, the crew, the grounds crew, making sure it is good to go. And like you said, we have been waiting for this day for turf racing to return. It doesn't get to happen, since Belmont is closed right now, until later in April, whereas it used to happen the week of the Wood Memorial. But now, because we have to be here longer, we want to keep these courses in as pristine as condition as we possibly can. And I can say, by standing next to them, that they really look spectacular. These maidens coming up next are lucky horses to be the first ones to step foot on it this year.
Glenn Kozak and his crew, the best in the business, and it looks beautiful for its return here as our first turf race coming up in just 20 minutes. It just makes racing that much more exciting.
It does, because you get those full fields, more betting intrigue. You have a lot of first-time starters, shippers, new faces. So there's more of that handicapping puzzle versus the same horses that we've seen a couple of times a month now. So just another layer of depth and layer of intrigue, and looking forward to it a lot.
We're going to be on the turf at Tampa as well for this 7th race coming up. Mile and a 16th on the grass. $10,000 claiming race coming up in this spot where there's no question Lucky Curlin, the horse to beat in this spot from that outside post.
And this one has handled all 3 surfaces well. It wasn't off the turf race last time that this one was in, where he actually made the lead at one point and then ultimately conceded that as the favorite. But it was a slim margin of defeat for this one. And he's just kind of the class of this field. Been there, done that. You don't have to go back too far for graded stakes tries.
I thought, obviously he's much the horse to beat. I thought the 9 was actually really interesting. The only time he was on the turf, Banderi's 45-1, 46-1, was his debut. He's raced 18 times. The horse who won that race actually won his next 3. Has become graded stakes placed. He ran a 98 Beyer on the grass. And his synthetic races, faster than what Lucky Curlin's done on the grass. Well, we got to see that translate to the turf, but it's a good sign.
And he was forward in that first turf race at Tampa back in 2022 of April. Ended up finishing 4th that day. So crazier things have already happened on today's show, right?
Yeah, 46-1 we just saw. Not far off.
I would believe this much more than I would have believed Screaming Uncle. Yeah. I'll give you that.
We have another one too in Yono, the 5. Who has some good recent synthetic performances, has only been on the turf once. Did you see anyone else in there outside of the 10 with the turf form that kind of caught your eye?
I mean, the other horse taking money in here is the number 4, Uncaptured Boy, who is coming off of a race where he was forward and won over the dirt. And that was coming off a little bit of a break as well. He's handled turf well in the past, but just in terms of the class that this one has been facing versus the class that the number 10 Lucky Curlin has been facing in the recent past, you kind of get the feeling that he's been at this level for quite some time and done well and has good early speed, but he's just running into a much tougher foe towards his outside today.
Artie's Angel, the 3, is one who's dropping a class a little bit as well. That 3 at 5-1 right now for Tim Padilla. And then maybe even the 2, Venezuelan Triumph. It's been a little while since that one's been on the grass, but some good efforts in New Jersey on the turf at Monmouth and Meadowlands.
Yeah, big price last time on the turf, 70-1, ended up finishing 4th, beaten only 2 lengths in there. So that was for a lower level claiming rank, but so is this. So I think it's the decision in this race is whether or not you think that Lucky Curlin is going to show up. And if you do, that's where you go. And if you don't, you try to get creative and go somewhere else. And I felt as though he was just going to be a little bit too much for this group.
Jason Beam with the call. Here's the 7th from Tampa Bay Downs.
Here's Yono, Samuel Marin to gate 5, right now at 15-1. And Lucky Curlin, 8-5 on the outside. Going in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Uncaptured Boy broke a touch in at the start, but broke well nonetheless. Uncaptured Boy going out for the early advantage. Millennium Condo, Yono between horses. Those are the top three through that first 16th of a mile. Just in behind them comes Storm's Reflection and Lucky Curlin on the outside. As they come into the stretch for the first time, it's Uncaptured Boy. Tries to settle him down on the front end, in front by 3/4 of a length. Millennium Condo in second. Yono stays third down toward the fence. Lucky Curlin's out fourth, too deep as they go into that first turn. Storm's Reflection just had to tap on the brakes going into that turn from fifth. Way up on the outside goes Bandero around Artie's Angel in the red colors, racing in seventh. King Ramos has two beat early on. Those are the two inside runners, Galactic Empire and Venezuelan Triumph. 23.44 seconds for Uncaptured Boy, who takes him on to the backstretch under a good hold by Daniel Centeno. Uncaptured Boy by a length. Right outside of that one, Millennium Condo inching a little bit closer, draws within 3/4. It's a length and a half more to Yono, who travels well in third. After that comes Lucky Curlin, who's fourth right now, about 4.5 off the top. Bandero starting to move on the outside. Now Galactic Empire is putting in a bit of a bid, is going to be 3 or 4 wide going to that turn, as is Venezuelan Triumph. As those two were at the back, they're now up mid-pack. 48.68 for Uncaptured Boy, who's had a pretty unfettered trip thus far. Uncaptured Boy past the 3/8 a length in front. Pushed along Millennium Condo. Now here's Lucky Curlin looping up on the outside, and Lucky Curlin comes into second, trying to come after Uncaptured Boy. Uncaptured Boy, Lucky Curlin. Venezuelan Triumph continues to gobble up ground on the far outside, is 4 wide but gaining. Lucky Curlin takes over the lead at the 3/16 pole. Uncaptured Boy back to second. Venezuelan Triumph on the outside. Up the fence, Yono's trying to make a move. Then comes Millennium Condo. Lucky Curlin to the 16th pole. Venezuelan Triumph on the outside, trying to reel that one in. It's Lucky Curlin still there. Venezuelan Triumph second best. Lucky Curlin won it. Venezuelan Triumph was second. Third was close. I believe it was Artie's Angel over Yono. Then came Bandero.
Lucky Curlin with the win here. Wins for the 4th time on the lawn.
Yeah, he was sitting in a great position this whole race, really had that nice, perfect stalking trip, and you could tell once he started making his move that he was going to have some horse in here as the pace started to back up late. Good run from number 2, Venezuelan Triumph. He chased him the whole way. I think that your long shot that you liked a little bit got into that photo for third at a big price, but Lucky Curlin, class prevailed.
Favorite takes the 7th at Tampa. We're going to take a timeout. Two of the best turfers in the country. They actually met in their debut. They both won coming back. Grade 1 winners Carl Spackler, Farbridge. We'll tell you what's ahead for them as they eye a big season on the grass.
And they're off in the Naira Benz Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Dornock setting up moderate pace. 3/4 of a length ahead.
As the field turns for home.
They're at it again. The 2 Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind Frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornock.
Dornock wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stakes. And here comes Carl Spackler on the outside as they reach the top of the stretch. Strong quality. Carl Spackler breezes on by. Ottoman Fleet with plenty of work to do, and More Than Looks is revving up in the center, but Carl Spackler has opened up. What a tremendous athlete Carl Spackler is as he dominates the FanDuel 4-Star Dave.
Breakthrough win for Chad Brown. First ever 4-Star Dave win with Carl Spackler last summer. And he came back with a statement performance in the Maker's Mark Mile at Keeneland. Now a 3-time Grade 1 winner. Quite a 5-year-old return.
He came back with a vengeance after kind of a disappointing effort at the Breeders' Cup, but some horses, they just don't show up in those races, so you can always sort of draw a line through that. And he came back with a performance that suggests that we're going to see yet another big year from Carl Spackler, and both he and a couple of other turfers, I know Farbridge being one of them, trying to add that 4th Grade 1 win to their resume this year.
Now, those are the two probably of the biggest names you see in that list of Grade 1 winners here on the NYRA circuit last year. Farbridge, 3-time Grade 1 winner as well, including those back-to-back performances in the Sword Dancer and Turf Classic last year. He came back a winner in the Grade 3 Pan American at Gulfstream for Christophe Clement. He's eyeing the Man of War in early May.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine that these two, as you were saying to me before we came back, they met in Carl Spackler's debut, Farbridge getting the better of him that day. He's kept to more of the longer marathon distances, Carl Spackler more that miler type, but maybe there's a rematch somewhere down the line in the future.
6th on the grass, mile and a 16th in this maiden special weight, and this is the one to beat. 1-2 favorite. Chad Brown, Manny Franco aboard, just missed by a nose in the debut at Tampa on the turf. Now comes start number 2. See what Maggie thinks as we head downstairs.
We'll check in with that filly that literally just missed the head, Bob. Greg, as you said, she ran too good to lose first time out, in which the horse that beat her that day got the rail skimming, ground saving trip, and she was about 3 wide at least the entire way around their midway memories. And while she is your typical Cairo Prince build, just a little bit more on the narrow side, lacks a bit of a hind end, typical gray. She is actually a half to Zandon, which is interesting. But here we are on the turf with her. She looks like she should be good on the turf, but all things good for your favorite. The kind of confirmation faults are within the realm of the pedigree. So all good with your favorite. And number 4 comes in from France, Siuni Flash for Christophe Clement. Now she's only run over heavy courses going right-handed. So total flip here today. She'll have a firm course and she'll go left-handed for the first time. Now, in that last start where she was the beaten favorite, she did face males and was wired by a horse on the front end after she just didn't break that alertly. So we'll see if that plays any impact on her here today and her performance getting out of the gate. Now, she's been accompanied by the pony the entire time, but she's been well behaved. She does come in here looking incredibly fit, but also like she'll just need to strengthen. That hind end's a bit light. The top line could use a start. Now, Tony Dutrow, he'll send out 2 in here. We'll take a look at the first-time starter by Earthlight, as she is from his first crop. Big Magic, well named because she is big. She's a little green in here as well, so she's gotten progressively worse as we've gotten the tack on, as we've gotten the rider on, but physically she's very impressive, Greg, and very well suited to these conditions.
Here comes our post parade. Thank you, Maggie. We start with Sail Away, Anthony Dutrow Barn, Kendra Carmouche.
The half of the entry with some experience did show speed first time out on synthetic, but was not forwardly placed at all last time out on turf.
The other half of the entry, post 3, and the debut for Big Magic.
This one Maggie was discussing, a little bit green so far in the post parade. There is pedigree here, half to 2 turf winners in Europe.
Maggie mentioned the dam of Midway Memories produced Zandon, who was the Bluegrass winner, third in the Kentucky Derby a couple of years ago.
And this one going out on the grass versus his success going those classic distances on dirt. Rest of the siblings haven't done it too much, but she ran very well first time out.
2 sprints on dirt, and now the stretch out and move to grass for Magnum's Microburst.
This is the price I like a little bit as well. Has some turf pedigree and showed improved early position last time.
Sayuni Flash has shown some talent over in France. Here comes the U.S. debut.
Shipper for Christophe Clement. He has mixed stats doing this with his foreign shippers coming over that are maidens on the grass.
Beware the other Chad Brown runner. Here's Scarlett's Halo, second start, debuted at Gulfstream.
She was posted wide first time out and just really had a slow break. Tried to save ground with Javier Castellano, and he got her over to the rail, but she did no running.
34-1 next door on Pay the Bills, who gets back to grass.
Former Chad Brown Klarovich horse who was then dropped in for a $40,000 tag, and she had some forward position in that second start. So we'll see what we get from this one.
Ruben Silvera already on the board today. This one coming off a second on the turf, but against maiden claiming softer company.
And she can also be forward. She's been off since last June, where she was second, as you mentioned, a big price, but she is stepping back up in class.
And Katarina Ristova, biggest number on the board outside.
She showed some good early speed in a couple of her turf tries. I think this is definitely her preferred surface, but this is a tough test as she is facing some decent company.
All right, so how good was that debut for this 1-2 favorite at Tampa? Let's take a look back to that March 19th race.
She was wide, as Maggie mentioned, all the way throughout. That's not the kind of trip that typically gets you the W in these turf races. So you can see she's not even in the screen right now. She's going to start making up that ground and have that closing kick, that turn of foot in here. And it's kind of that blanket finish where the winner did have a more suitable trip. And the horse that was actually favored was her stablemate, who finished third in there. The fourth place finisher of that race did come back to win with a little bit of regression. So it was a promising debut for her. It's just a matter of whether or not she sits the right kind of trip in here and whether or not you want to take such a short price on a horse who didn't get the job done first time out.
She was rolling late, though, wasn't she?
She was. She absolutely was.
1-2 for start number 2 coming up for this big favorite. With Manny Franco, who I would think will be awfully, and already, look, drawn inside, is in a position where she can save ground early.
Yeah, she benefits from the draw here for certain, and she had a good draw last time out too, but ended up with that wide journey. So we'll see. I always sort of question what pace may develop in our turf races here on this circuit, but it does seem like we do have a couple of different horses that have already shown some good early speed on the grass, so maybe she does get that favorable type of setup today.
3 minutes to post in our first turf action of the season coming up. Let's go back down to Maggie.
And we'll take a look at the plain one of the Tony Detro entry. That is Sail Away. And, you know, last time, as she showed a bit of speed in her debut, albeit on the synthetic, she had absolutely none in her subsequent start on the turf. And it's so hard to do any meaningful running, I feel like, when you are far back off the lead on the turf at Gulfstream Park. Now, I do think she looked as though she was getting out a little bit when, you know, the race was kind of commencing to speed up at the quarter pole. So looking at her equipment, she is wearing a ring bit with a drop noseband. I don't know what she wore before, but maybe just to keep her a little bit straighter this time. She's okay. She looks fit enough here, but she's going to have to get better. And we'll see, maybe with a more fairer, we'll see how it plays. Is this the first race here at Aqueduct on the green? But with a fairer turf course, maybe she can make an impact, and maybe she'll get out of the gate a little bit quicker from the inside. Moving on to the 5 Scarlet's Halo. I feel kind of icky when I pick a 1-2 shot, even though I have no problems with your favorite Midway Memories. I'm going to take the other Chad Brown here. Scarlet's Halo, kind of same sentiment. If you don't show any gumption to get to the lead at Gulfstream, generally you're not running that well. She's a big, good-looking filly. Now, she is by Practical Joke, which doesn't necessarily scream turf, but I've seen my fair share of them actually handle it quite well. And two, because she's so big and somewhat robust, wondering if she's that rare Chad Brown horse that's had to race into fitness a bit. She seems so happy. I have not seen this horse, flicker ears back or look the slightest bit upset about anything. She has just held her head high and looked really pleased to be at the races, which I love to see. So I'm going to give Scarlett's Halo a shot here, and I'm totally on board with Sarah's long shot, Magnum's microburst. I wrote much more turf in her debut, so we're getting it here. This is a typical kind of Dave Donk, get them in, get a race or two into them, wait a little bit, get them to the turf. And so often this recipe has worked for the Donk Barn. It's just a shame she does find herself in a fairly tough spot. Greg?
It may turn out everyone finds himself in a fairly tough spot if Midway Memories can improve just a little bit off that debut, and can Manny Franco can save some ground here.
Yeah, we'll see. But Maggie knocking the Segway out of the park. So I'm going to go ahead with my little long shot here that I have some interest in, because it's all turf on the Dam side of this pedigree, and distance more so than that, because the Dam did win 4 times, 3 of those in off the turf races, 1 of those over a wet track, but was going out for Dave Donk for much of her career. So he's very familiar with the family. And I just like that this horse, first time out, off slowly. That was a day where you wanted to be inside. When she got to the inside of the racetrack, she actually started making up some ground. And then when she had to angle out for that clear running room, she just kind of stalls in place. So I like that she did some running, went on the favorable portion of the track. And then in her second start, I just thought that she had so much more sharpness out of the gate, improved early speed, forward position. It's just that she also ran into a really good horse in Paul is a Star, and she was caught 5 wide, being a part of a contentious pace. So that step forward in maturity from start 1 to start 2, now she has a little bit of time. Now she has a longer distance. Now she gets over to the grass. There's just enough changes and enough that I saw at a huge price to want to go with her versus a horse that, yes, absolutely, she can win the favorite right now, Midway Memories, but she didn't show that much first time out that makes her such a standout to take at such a short price.
1-2, she's got the target on her back, so no favors will be done to give her any room to try and run. But we'll see if Manny Franco can try and tuck in, save some ground, and show that explosive turn of foot she did in that debut, and get the job done here in our first turf race of the season here coming up, with the sun shining down here on this Wednesday afternoon. 1.16 here on the outer turf. Turf racing is back. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin with the call.
Magnum's microburst has gone in. Classic Kara. Katerina Ristova. Last to load to the outside. First turf race of the season. All set. And they're off, and Siuni Flash was off very slowly, walked out of the gate. Katerina Ristova broke outward, but is now trying to catch up with the early leaders. Sail Away has got early speed, and Sail Away is going to hold the rail position as they move into that first turn. Big Magic is stalking, and right there towards the outside is a close-up second, and here towards the far outside, there's Magnum's Microburst is up with the pace. Sail Away is in front, is up by a neck as they really back off the tempo now. Magnum's Microburst is 3 wide in between horses. That's Big Magic. Outwider Katerina Ristova is going to be 4 across the course early. Classic Kara's settled into 5th, is to the outside here of Midway Memories, tight hold in 6th. Then behind them, at the rail moving forward, Siuni Flash, after being off slowly, has worked up to be right in behind this leading pack. And the 2 right there at the back, Scarlett's Halo with Pay the Bills. 48.25 for a half-mile time. Magnum's Microburst is in front as Sail Away has dropped back, is now back to 3rd. Katerina Ristova is now a stalking 2nd as Magnum's Microburst and a big long shot Katerina Ristova go into the far turn together. Sail Away is trying to keep up here from 3rd. Big Magic starts to rally on, splits rivals, and here comes the run from Big Magic, and Sail Away's trying to re-rally. Midway Memories trying to follow them. Magnum's Microburst has got the lead at the top of the lane. Magnum's Microburst is trying to win it right now and sprint away from the field. Midway Memories is in full pursuit, now is in the center of the course and is rolling towards the outside, but Magnum's Microburst had the jump. Magnum's Microburst approaches a final 16th. Midway Memories catching with every single stride, trying to time it up. Midway Memories will sprint on by and win it. Midway Memories wins it over Magnum's Microburst. Then came Scarlett's Halo, followed by Sail Away in 1:42.38 seconds.
3-5 favorite. Chad Brown wins the first turf race of the season under Manny Franco here. Comes and catches this 25-1 shot, who ran big, debuting on the grass here in the stretch out.
Yeah, I was getting excited with my long shot idea there once she made the lead, but your favorite just had that turn of foot, and you could tell when she was able to get in the clear towards the outside that she was going to come with a big run, and so she just has that turn of foot, that acceleration, and she's really the only one that made that big move from the back. So able to build off of that first race, time it right, and get by the horse that was able to really take to the turf and run well. But the paces, they just don't develop here as much as you think that they might. And that's why I always go for horses that are projecting to be a little more forward. But your favorite gets the job done, and an impressive turn of foot, long way back to your third place finisher as well.
We expect to see a lot more of this to come now that we're back on the grass. Chad Brown winning on the turf. Midway Memories, 3-5 favorite. Here in start number 2, 2-3-5 finish. Photo for fourth. We'll make that, and now it's the 1, Sail Away, who gets that fourth place effort to finish here. So 2-3-5-1. Odds on 3-5. Midway Memories, New York debut here in start number 2. Rolls by this 25-1 shot with Manny Franco. Prices will set up the 7th, the feature next.
As it has come to be known, is the jewel in the crown of California racing, as some of the all-time greats have showcased their brilliance in the shadow of the San Gabriel Mountains.
Locked is let loose, and he moves to the front with a furlong left to go, and it's lights out. He's pouring it on, but it's all about Locked, and Jose Ortiz dominating the big cap, cruising home to an effortless 8-length romp.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Who's still a nose in front. Kourou is lifting late as well. Better lucky than good at the rail. Better lucky than good. Kourou, better lucky than good, wins the finale.
Welcome to Adelphi Racing Club's unparalleled partnership experience. Exclusive access to the backstretch at Belmont and Saratoga, premier accommodations on race day, and of course, experience excitement like no other. Contact us today to get a taste of the Adelphi difference.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
Back with you on our Wednesday action here on America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 2. Are you in a better mood now that the sun's out?
Am I in a better mood?
Yeah.
Today or in general?
Just in general.
Yeah, of course. Everybody is when it gets a little bit warmer. We get some daylight.
See, I've noticed a lot of happier people around the office with the sun shining.
Yeah? You think that our morale has improved?
A little bit. Hopefully it stays that way through the summer. Midway Memories, start number 2. Comes and nails this long shot. Nice call here and just come up a little bit short.
I was going to say, stop asking me how happy I am when you have a 25-1 shot.
Well, you bet the place, right?
Yeah, I did. No, I played some exactas. But look, Midway Memories was much the best in here. She got in the clear. She started that turn of foot, that acceleration, and you knew that you were in trouble with Magnum's Microburst, who got a great forwardly placed type of trip with Jose Gomez and really took to the distance and surface. But your favorite obliges, and you were saying to me we might still be heading towards that carryover in the pick 6.
3-5 favorite, yeah. You have a $189 pick 3 already. Still, I mean, that's
pretty good.
See what happens. This next race, too, has become monumentally tougher, don't you think, with Antonio Venice out?
It changes the pace for sure in terms of who might be forwardly placed in here, who was your likeliest winner, and I think it opens it up for horses like What's Up Bro and Defusky Island, but taking all the money right now, who is not at all favored or the second choice in doubles, is contrary thinking for Chad Brown again.
Tote board here has that one at 2-1, by the way, so we should see that number change in a minute. Still favored, though.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Lightly raced. We had them, odds on. But what do you think? I mean, wins first time out, contrary thinking. Certainly one of the – I thought everyone had a chance in this race coming up. Your thoughts on contrary thinking?
I think he has the most upside. I think that he was one that was against the racetrack when he was at Saratoga over the Belmont at Saratoga weekend. That was a weekend where kickback was really inhibiting some closing runs from certain horses, and that he was off for a good amount of time since then. So room to improve, room to take a big step forward, but he hasn't shown any early speed as of yet, and I think that might be the biggest chink in his armor.
2-1, 5-1 separates this entire field. See what happens. Let's go to the post parade. Hear from Maggie when we come back to it. We're going to get out to Tampa. Race 8 coming up here. 6 furlongs. It's non-winners at 2 life condition. And Duncan Run, can be forward, certainly, coming off a maiden claiming win. Career start number 5 last time out. We'll get to him in a second. Start with He's Side-Eyed.
Gets back over to the dirt and cuts back in distance, both things that should suit this one because he did show some good early speed in his last start sprinting on dirt.
Well, this one's been very quick, actually set off the pace a little bit last start and then broke his maiden.
Fan favorite of New Englanders, perhaps? Plenty of good early speed for him.
I didn't pick it up. What is it?
Dunkin' Run. Dunkin' Donuts? Dunkin'?
Oh, okay.
Come on, Greg.
Just New Englanders?
No, but more
Country
popular than West
Economics,
Coast.
18-1. We got one right around the corner here.
It took a long
ahead.
time to break his maiden.
18-1, My Lucky Angel, blinkers on.
This one a little bit more lightly raced and cuts back and gets back over to the dirt as well.
This one just claimed 8-1 right now.
Yeah, claimed for $8,000. Took some time to break his maiden, but he can also be forward.
Far From Home comeback race was on the turf sprinting against Better.
Yeah, he's a little bit slow on paper for these for sure.
Sincerito, Sarah Hess aboard.
He has that propensity to sort of be that consistent type at this level over his last 2 races at least.
This one interesting, just lightly raced, some upside with Final Drama.
Yeah, broke his maiden a lot quicker than many of these did. Maybe he's the price that you want to include.
Snow Name will take the blinkers off today.
Yeah, this one maybe didn't really appreciate that equipment change or going quite as quick 5 furlongs on the turf, so this should be more to his liking.
I always get this name wrong. We've had it for so long. Dunedin Causeway, Sammy Camacho.
We've seen this one on the circuit here, New York bred, I
Plenty
believe.
of times.
Yeah, form not going in the same direction as it once was.
This one, I thought this was the horse to beat. 7-2 off that performance last time out.
Yeah, this horse ran very well last time. 3rd place finish in the start prior to that as well. Both of these on the dirt at Tampa. One of the big players for sure.
So there looks like there's quite a few that want to go to the front in this race, and here's one of them.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a fast pace, and I don't know if this is one of those types of races where you just go for the horse that looks to be the speed of the speed, and that's your current favorite, at least to me, depending on what sort of tactics they employ with Dunkin' Run. But we know that, as you mentioned, this horse is capable of doing things differently. He's capable of adapting if need be and still running his race. So maybe they perceive a lot of speed on paper and they try to come from off of it a little bit with him today. So it depends on what their decision is, but ultimately I do think we are going to see a couple that want to be forward in here for sure.
And that 8, who is a little intriguing, breaks his maiden second start, but he did it on the front end, and yeah, he's probably going to have quite a bit of company up front.
Is he a little bit too big of a price? Because I think out of all the horses in this race, the one that's interesting, that has the upside, that has that potential, he's the one. We've seen a lot from many of these different surfaces, different connections, different levels of competition, distances. He's the one who was able to break his maiden last time as the favorite. He was bet first time out as well. He had some excuses on that debut where he was finishing 3rd behind Dunkin' Run, your current favorite. So if you're looking for a horse at a price to bet, he seems like the answer to me, coming in with a big work too.
Yeah, no, I thought he was a major player in here. It's going to be tough to do, obviously facing winners and trying to do it on the front end. I thought even money's way too short on the 2.
Yeah.
Way too short.
Yeah. Even money on anybody in these types of races to me is always a little too short, especially when you don't have that gigantic class dropper. You don't have that horse coming in with standout, consistent form. There's a couple of these that are comparable in their past performances to him, and he's taking much more money than they are, at least right now.
His races aren't even the fastest in this group. Like I said, the 11, and it was last time out, he didn't win, but that's by far the fastest race anyone's run, at least last time out, and that's probably the fastest race maybe anybody has on the resume in here. But can he back it up and do it again is the big question mark for that one.
And it was a big step forward. And then that's the question with him. Now, he was first off the claim. Maybe he's just improved for new connections. They figured something out with him, and this is how he's going to be going forwards, and we can expect that replication. But we hadn't seen a race from him on the dirt that was quite at that level in a little while. I mean, he ran well back in December, running a 64 by our speed picker, finishing second, narrowly defeated that day at a similar level. But his race two back wasn't quite fast enough to be as competitive as we anticipate he's going to be here. So he's that question mark. If you like that last race, he's a player. And do you think he stays 4-1? Do you think he goes down to a little bit more of a
I think he gets closer,
price?
yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe the 2 was as short as he is. Maybe 5-2, 3-1. Let me take a look. But yeah, 4-1 is incredibly enticing.
I might have to bet. Oh, now he's 5-1, as we've been discussing. I might have to bet the final drama a little bit here.
Yeah, that price coming down as expected.
Did you place a big bet? Is that why?
Yeah, they're no, not at all. But yeah, the 2 and the 11 actually in the double are just about the same price.
Okay, so we can expect a shift that evens those two out more.
And even actually in the pick 3, the 11 is favored.
Okay.
No, sorry, not favored, but he's favored over Duncan Run. It's actually the favorite in the pick 3. This is a little surprising. Is the 5.
Okay. I mean, he's been taking some money throughout, but that's interesting. And he's not the favorite in the doubles?
No.
Interesting board.
A little bit. Well, look, again, pace, you have the 2. I don't know, 3's coming out of a longer race on grass, but the 3 still has some quickness. The 5's not slow by any means. The 8 wants to be forward. The 9 wants to be forward. So there should be plenty of pace, you would think, to set it up for someone maybe like the 11 to get another big run like he did last time out.
Yeah, and I mean, even the number 4, My Lucky Angel, who's not really fast enough on paper. The blinkers are going on. His best finish, he was forwardly placed in there when he won, when he broke his maiden. He was right up and on the pace as well, and you have to think with blinkers going on now that maybe they want a little bit more of early engagement from him. So this pace should be honest.
Seems like slight delay. Not quite sure what the issue is. Meanwhile, right-hand side of your screen, let's check back in here in New York. The 6 furlong sprint feature on this Wednesday card here. This entry-level allowance completely changed with Antonio Avenis, the 2, coming out of the race, who would have been a heavy favorite in this spot. Favorites is the 3 right now. It's Laser Sharp, who comes in from Tampa. And there's the 3. The last, actually, 2 times he's been on dirt here in New York, he's been a winner.
I thought he was a little bit interesting at what was a better price at one point, and this board is pretty open. I expect it to fluctuate and change a little bit more, but he's one he'd had terrible trips over his last 2 races. He had really no shot to do as much running as was expected last time out at Tampa. He had a terrible start. He still finished second in there, favorite second in the start prior to that as well. I think with a clean trip, he's a player, and he's not going to need to be a part of that pace that might materialize between horses like What's Up Bro and Dofusky Island, who has good early speed as well.
Dofusky Island is ultra quick. Used to be incredibly quick. He's still very quick. See if he's going to be able to clear and get to that front end. Ruben Silvera looking for another winner on this card. We'll get back to the feature in a moment. In New York, we return to Tampa. So 3-2, Duncan Run. I make him at Saratoga in the heat, and late in the summer, it's difficult because it gets overrun with the bees.
What's your favorite flavor?
I just get a regular coffee.
Oh, okay.
I don't do the flavored coffees.
No?
No.
So you go to Dunkin' Donuts and you get just a regular coffee, nothing in it?
Is that bad?
It's like the world is your oyster and you've chosen vanilla.
I'm not a flavored coffee guy.
Okay. All right. Donuts?
But I would probably, I shouldn't say this if Naira's listening, I'd probably just forgo my salary if they gave me free coffee for the summer.
The wheels are turning in someone's head right now in marketing.
3-2 favorite, Sonny Leone of Rich Strike fame. Kentucky Derby upset. What was he, 81-1?
I was there for that one.
Is that the only time you've been?
Yeah, Eric Reed couldn't believe he won. He was watching in the paddock, which is where I was watching as well, and he fainted.
Did he really?
He was on the ground.
Wow.
Hordes of people surrounding him.
That's what that winning that race means.
Yep.
I get it.
I don't blame him.
Incredible. He didn't even think the horse had a chance. Duncan Run with favoritism here, 3-2. We'll see if he goes back to his old tactics of trying to be in front. Let's go to Jason Beam for the call.
Don't be so grouchy. Samuel Marin to the outside draw. Goes forward. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Duncan Runaway just a half step slow. Good start in the center. Final drama, flashing some early speeds. No name to that one's outside. And driving through Country Economics to take over third. Duncan Run trying to rebound after that slow beginning is fourth in the pink colors. Then comes My Lucky Angel. Go Woke, Go Broke is in and amongst that second flight as Final Drama tries to cross in front of them. It's a break of two more. Back to Far From Home. Don't Be So Grouchy is placed 8th in the early going. A length more back to Cincerito at 9th. 2 more to He's Side-Eyed. Another 5 or 6 back to Dunedin Causeway, who's the trailer. 22.65 seconds that opening quarter mile. Final Drama. Jose Vargas in front of Go Woke, Go Broke, who emerges up now a clear second. Country Economics is third. Snow Name under a drive fourth on the outside. Don't Be So Grouchy trying to move up, takes over fifth. Is still about 5 or 6 behind as Final Drama joined on the outside by Go Woke, Go Broke. Those two to the top of the stretch. Go Woke, Go Broke pokes ahead in front. A Final Drama in second. 4 more lengths now. Back to Country Economics. Don't Be So Grouchy continues to make steady progress. Sincerito is putting in a bit of a run from the back, is going between horses. Go Woke, Go Broke leads him to the 16th pole. It's Go Woke, Go Broke by 3.5 lengths. Final Drama, Don't Be So Grouchy, and Country Economics all chasing Go Woke, Go Broke, who wins it. Don't Be So Grouchy up for second. Third went to Final Drama. Fourth, Country Economics. Fifth, Sincerito.
Had been a lot of runner-ups for Go Woke, Go Broke, including last time out, but picks up the second win of his career here. John Arnett off the claim.
Yeah, new connections, able to sit a nice trip in this spot. Not quite as much speed as we expected with the horse that I liked a little bit, and you did as well. Final Drama, able to set the pace in there. But nice win for this one and drew away very convincingly.
To the feature here at Aqueduct, this entry-level allowance 6 furlong sprint. There's a look at what's up, bro. Kendrick Carmouche for Linda Rice. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
And a lot of New York breds in here, Greg, as we'll take a look here at number 1, What's Up, Bro, who physically I think looks fantastic for trainer Linda Rice, much as he has for this barn in the past. But he does wear that extension blinker over his right eye, and you see in his last few starts, he has not gotten away that cleanly. And now with that inside post position yet again, that leaves him a bit vulnerable to have the same thing happen. So Linda uses kind of your not typical extension blinker in that it's just this little piece of leather that's actually sewn on to the cup of the blinker, where it's not quite as conspicuous as some of the other ones that you see. But like I said, physically, one of the best times I've seen What's Up, Bro appear. I think number 5, Defusky Island, is intriguing. He's the other speed, and he gets to be posted more outside to kind of play the break and see what's going on with some of those inside runners that do have a bit of speed as well. And Defusky Island's actually a reclaim here for Rudy Rodriguez, who gave him some time. Now, whether that was by design or he had to give him the time, I like it. I always like the way that Defusky Island comes back appearing when he gets a little bit of a break. He seems to do better in his weight and his coat, everything. So it also feels like, because he's doing this for Rudy, who knows him, there's some meaning there. And I would take my shot here with Defusky Island today. Greg?
See if he can utilize that speed to pick up the 7th win of his career. Ruben Silvera, he knows how to take advantage of a horse with early quickness. Rudy Rodriguez off the claim. This one a contender, though, too. Laser sharp. His last 2 starts on dirt in New York. Got his picture taken. We'll be back.
For over 150 years, the Kentucky Derby has stood as the most enduring tradition in American sports. And in our time, one stallion is reshaping its legacy. Back-to-back Derby winners. His first son at stud siring another. A dynasty in motion. A motion that again has forward momentum toward Louisville, with another elite crop of 3-year-olds bearing his genes. Spendthrift Farm, home of Into Mischief.
Back with you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races and the Wednesday feature. 5 minutes to post here in this 7th, this entry-level allowance 6 furlong sprint. We start with What's Up, Bro, in the post parade.
He's had some trouble getting out of the gate as of late. He was a part of the pace that started to come apart. He gets an easier time of it being forwardly placed in here.
Laser Sharp comes in off 2. Runner-up finishes at Tampa to start the year.
We'll see if he can get a cleaner trip. He has a good race over this circuit back in November that puts him in the mix.
Chad Brown, Clarvich Stable Silks, and Contrary Thinking.
Lightly raced, potential for upside. Maybe he just needed that start last time. He's going to be coming from off the pace.
The Speedy, Defusky Island. It's Rudy Rodriguez off the claim.
Yeah, we know where he likes to be early. We'll see if he gets engaged with What's Up, Bro. He does draw advantageously to that one's outside.
And George Weaver Barn with War Stride has Manny Franco aboard.
Didn't really do much running in his last start, but he has some big numbers that would put him in the mix. Kind of that wild card type that might be sitting a tracking sort of trip.
4 minutes from this feature coming up. Let's look at What's Up, Bro. Favored now, 5-2 from that inside post. It's back on March 16th. Raced at Antonio Venice, who would have been favored in here, winds up second. He set the early pace and then backed up to fourth.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of horses that had some forward position in here. He was sort of the last man standing of those, this race being won by Ignite the Light, who would come back to finish an unlucky second after not getting out of the gate all that well. So he's in excellent form right now. And I thought that he hung around as well as he could in here, but he's going to have to deal with more speed yet again towards his outside with the Fusky Island. Just a matter of whether or not you think he can have a little bit more stamina today, have a little bit more of that will to hang around in there, because he's faced tough company. He's had some trips, but he's got to show up today with an effort that suggests that he can overcome something like that, especially at a shorter price.
Third off the bench. Reasons to believe that may be the case here. Oftentimes can be the best in the form cycle for a horse here, as Kendrick looks for number 3 on this Wednesday card. 4 of the 6 wins for What's Up, Bro. They've come here at Aqueduct. But the problem with certainly the way he did it last time out, the way he's done it the last couple of times when he's gotten his picture taken, Tefusky Island's very quick.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably a little bit sharper than him because he doesn't have those same propensities to break a little bit slow either. He's one that comes in. Also, he's had a little bit more time between starts than What's Up Bro, but it would be the third start for him of this year. And I know that he was in for that $50,000 tag last time, but he's kept plenty of good company over his career as well. So certainly don't want to take away from his chances, and the betting public not taking away from his chances either. Your current favorite right now, though this board has been pretty all over the place.
Meanwhile, this 3-horse Laser Sharp, John Terranova Barnes, 7-2. Back to New York after 2 starts, Maggie at Tampa to start off his 4-year-old campaign.
And was the beaten favorite in both those starts down in Florida, where, as Sarah has mentioned, he was a horse that was kind of dominated by other horses that won those races that were more forward than he was, which we'll see if that plays in his favor today and if there is some hitting up front between the 5 and the 1. But Laser Sharp, look, he's well suited to these conditions. The horse who won last time, Silver Slugger, he came back and won with an 89, so improving his figure. Look, those efforts, while they were, as maybe not what you wanted, being the favorite and not resulting in a win, I think they were good enough to be a major player here. And physically, he looks great overall, though I do feel like he is going to have to run a race that he hasn't necessarily, but maybe seeing some upside, as I feel like every horse in this field has taken a turn at being the favorite. Number 6, Warstride. He's another one that I don't know if his fastest race, at least to date, is as good as some of these others in here to get the win. And last time out, his head was held high. He was held up at the back of the pack, but even when Kai Barkoa sent him down to run, he just didn't really level off at all, and it took quite a while for him to switch leads. Physically, he looks great. He's looked great in every single one of his starts, but I didn't love that effort he comes in off of. And 2 back, while he ran very fast at a big price behind Seas Get Degrees, I feel like that race lives a little bit in isolation. So for me, he's one at a short price I didn't necessarily want, and I'll take Tefusky Island even as the favorite, Greg.
I've been a fan of this horse for a while. That 5-horse there, the one Maggie's going to go with, who is, your 5-2 favorite right now. Ruben Silvera will ride for Rudy Rodriguez. 6 wins, 4 runner-ups, and we'll see if he can outquick the 1 to the front end.
He's a cool dude. I mean, took him a while to get his picture taken after some efforts that were solid, but he'd had a long time between that big performance at Old Belmont with the 102 Buyer speed figure that he had run beating Big Engine, and then his last win, which was just 2 starts ago. So he's just held really good form for the majority of his career and has that early speed as mentioned, and we'll see if he can continue to take that step back up the class ladder, because he's certainly been there and done that in the past.
Well, meanwhile, it's the other speed who's gone back to favoritism in here. This one, What's Up Bro? Kendra Carmouche, Linda Rice, break from the rail, and this one top choice on the board right now with a tough task ahead of him with that other speedster to his outside. Board, not much separating really everybody here in this competitive 7th. Let's send it upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
Contrary Thinking. Tefusky Island. Warstride. Goes in. Almost. Touch reluctant. Now in. All set. And they're off. Tefusky Island flew out of the gate from an outside draw. Tefusky Island is hard sent, and that's going to push What's Up Bro to hold that position. And these two are in a hot pace duel here on the front end, as What's Up Bro is now a half length in front. Tefusky Island is stalking from second. Warstride is watching the action from third. Contrary Thinking is tucked right in behind. This leading duo is down at the rail with 4 furlongs left to go. Then, in behind them is Laser Sharp. 21-4 for that opening quarter mile. What's Up Bro is just moving right along. Defusky Island pushed that early speed. War Stride was well settled in, is ranging up to the outside. Blue Cap, Contrary Thinking is shoved along, not making up ground. Laser Sharp is trying to launch a rally from the back of the pack and starts to move. What's Up Bro reaches the top of the stretch. A host of pursuers in behind. Can What's Up Bro just keep on going? It's What's Up Bro, but here they come down the center of the racetrack. Laser Sharp. War Stride is right there. Contrary Thinking starts to run on as well, but What's Up Bro is still there. A 16th left to go. Can What's Up Bro hang on? What's Up Bro just kept on going. What's Up Bro with a big one. What's Up Bro wins it over War Stride. Then came Laser Sharp in a photo with Contrary Thinking in 1 minute 10 seconds flat.
Where'd this performance come from? What's Up Bro had to hustle to get to the front because we know Defusky Island is quick and just keeps on rolling.
That was impressive because he's one that, yes, he has some fast races going back on the page. He doesn't really ever run his best races fresh. He usually needs a start to get into race fitness, but he didn't even break on top in here. Defusky Island was hustled out of the gate, had a little bit more natural early speed than he did. Both of them intent on keeping that early position. But I guess Kendrick Carmouche just thought that, hey, if I don't make the lead in here, he's not going to run his best race. And once he got him through the front, they were sizzling early. This is a fast race.
1-6-3-4 finish, 21-4, 44-3 to the half. These are some of the fastest fractions we've seen since we've been at Aqueduct this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that is flying. Wow. And to be able to finish, it's a different What's Up Bro we saw today.
He's had ability. I don't want to say this was just absolutely outlandishly beyond the scope of anything possible, but for him to just have that early speed, make the lead, have that intention, and still hold on, even though getting a little bit leg weary late for sure, this was a big effort from him and probably one of his faster, if not his fastest race so far.
110.13 final time after those sizzling early fractions. Usually expect them to back up after they go that fast early. 3-win day today for that man right there. Louisiana in the house. Kendrick Carmouche. What's Up Bro, the win here in the feature. Prices when we come back. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, we will talk Oaks and Ballerina Doro. Gazelle winner for Chad Brown. Get the money the first Friday in May. We're 9 days away. Stay with us. We'll have a preview coming up.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
She feels more than pretty. She feels fantastic.
It is all she feels pretty. The sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
The only major U.S. 2-year-old sale held over a dirt surface, Mid-Atlantic May, continues to produce graded stakes winners across the globe and on all surfaces. Recent grads include Eclipse champion Straight No Chaser, brilliant winner of the Breeders' Cup Sprint, as well as this year's Riyadh Dirt Sprint at the Saudi Cup, plus Grade 1 winners Full Count Felicia and Sacred Wish. The Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic May 2-year-olds in training sale, May 19th and 20th in Timonium, Maryland. Where will you be?
Prince of Monaco's too good for Moose, an impressive winner of the best pal. Miramondi's all hot, but Prince of Monaco too good.
Prince of Monaco, standing at Claiborne Farm.
This is my Oaklawn.
Back with you on our Wednesday coverage here of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you by Hillendale at Alapa. And our feature, what a performance from What's Up Bro. Sizzling on the front end and plenty left in the tank to finish. 3 today for that man right there, Kendrick Carmouche, our winner circle lead-in. Brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic May 2-year-olds in training sale to be held May 19th and 20th in Timonium, Maryland. After the Preakness, where will you be? Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Here with Kendrick Carmouche delivering the winning ride today aboard What's Up Bro. Kendrick, you rode him last time. Bit of a disappointing performance, but you've ridden him to a victory. What was it about today that he just brought his A game?
I think he had came off the bench last time, 2 or 3 months off the bench. Linda had him going 6.5. That's not his preferred distance. We did win at that distance before, but with the cutback today to 6 furlongs, he warmed up nicely today, and he was very on point in the gate. And, you know, I knew the 5-horse had speed, but this horse really runs one good way, and, man, just hang on. just hang on and just try to make every pole winning pole, you know. I think he ran against less company this time than last time, and that makes a difference too, Maggie.
Class certainly makes the race too, as well as pace. But you rode the turf in the race prior as well, finishing 4th. Tell us a little bit about how the turf felt, and obviously we're all glad that everybody's back on it.
Yeah, amazing. You know, this turf course is probably one of the top 5s in the country, you know. So with that being said, you need the pony to go around there at this point, you know. But I'm ready for it, you know. It's a beautiful spring so far. Let's get started, man. Let's keep it moving, you know. Hey, we need dirt and turf these days, right?
Yeah, keep on rolling on the green.
Yeah,
and
you better believe it. You better believe it, Max.
Kendrick Carmouche, as always, congratulations. And, you know, it's always good to catch up with Louisiana. It's in the house. Greg?
I love hearing it. Never gets old. It's about 18 days ago, he notched career win number 4,000. Incredibly popular here in New York, and it was the fans surrounding him, celebrating with him that big moment.
Yeah, and very quickly made it 4,001 soon after that, and just always engaging with the fans. And I talked to him a couple days ago, and he had 2 young fans around. I want to say both of them younger than 5, coming in and out of the crowd and spending some time with him. So just always makes the time to really engage with the public, and you could tell all of that coming to fruition, them celebrating with him for that big victory.
$6.70 for the win for What's Up Bro, 3 for Kendrick on this Wednesday card. And we go to the nightcap. We're back on the grass. Second grass event of the afternoon. Mile and a 16th on the inner turf here. New York breds, $50,000 maiden claiming race. This one pretty wide open.
Yeah, you don't have quite the same heavy favorite that we did in our first turf race of the season. Both of these, both for maidens. This one, I'd say a little bit more open, and we'll see what we get. Some with turf experience, more so than the last race.
We've talked a lot of Derby. Let's talk the fillies. And the first Friday in May, right around the corner, just 9 days until the Kentucky Oaks. And the prep winner we saw here in New York for Chad Brown, Ballerina Doro, and that Gazelle performance. What do you think are her chances going forward?
They seem very high on her, and she ran well to get the job done in here. This was a race where it didn't really seem like it was going to set up well for her running style, a horse that had come from off the pace and that big effort when she was finishing in the money in that Demoiselle last year as a 2-year-old. But she has some quirks. She has that tendency to lug in, not want to switch leads until late. She's still figuring things out, but that also tells me that there could be a move forward for her, that she's able to possibly be even better than she's already been. She's able to run down early on in this spot who had a much more favorable setup with pace dynamics. So she's still learning, she's still figuring things out. That kind of all are as these newly turned 3-year-olds going into May in here. We'll see who has the maturity to win at this time, but I like that she was able to sit closer, be a little bit more pliable, and able to run down horses that had more of an advantage on her in terms of where they were placed early on. So she's exciting. She certainly has potential, and we haven't seen the Gazelle have a winner of the Kentucky Oaks in quite some time, but it's been a productive race with horses finishing well, finishing within the money when they have been going forwards to that first Friday in May. So producing some major contenders and some major Grade 1 winners down the line. So a race worth keeping an eye on, even though we haven't seen it play out as a Kentucky Oaks winner lately.
You know, I know we have a filly going to that race in good cheer, who's undefeated. She's 6 for 6, but it doesn't seem like we have sort of this standout performer in journalism that we do in the Derby for the Oaks, does it?
She just doesn't have the same races where she's shown that she's so much faster than her competition. She keeps winning, and that's something that the public will gravitate to, and it's certainly something that can't be taken away from her. But we haven't really seen her be tested and assert herself over a quality group like she's going to have to face coming into the Kentucky Oaks. So she's one of the ones, but she's not necessarily that superstar that's elevated herself, like you said.
9 days until we get to that first Friday in May. It's hard to believe we're already here. Back to Tampa and race 9. Approaching the 2-minute mark to post here. Mile on the grass, maiden special weight. And we have, wow, 7-2 right now. Accent, we'll get to in a moment. Big pedigree, the price is going to go down. So Sophia, Brad Cox, first-time starter from the inside.
Yeah, looking up, if he's sent out a first-time starter in a turf route at Tampa in the past 5 years, this is the only one.
Power Party. He's had a couple of turf starts, did not show a whole lot.
And stepping up in class in here. Some excuses last time for sure, but needs to improve.
First on grass, Caravaggio's song.
This one actually a half to Grammy girl who is in great form that we've seen on this circuit for Horacio de Paz.
Power Dance next door at 19-1.
You got 162-1 with this one last time, finishing a 4th, and not that far beaten either. You're not getting the same price today.
Yeah, there's only been a length and 3/4 at that 162-1 price. Here's Calla, who's run okay on the grass, but it's going to be a tougher test today.
Yeah, even efforts in all 3 turf starts so far. I like that she was a little bit more forward last time.
Christophe Clement Barn, maybe we'll appreciate getting back to a little bit shorter.
And this one was bet a little bit first time out, did finish 3rd that day, tried to go a little bit further at Gulfstream and just was forward and then faded.
Chad Brown, first-time starter. The Dam produced 3-time Grade 1 winner, Program Trading.
And he also won his first start, his first 3 starts actually, one of those being a Grade 1.
Here is Martha Washington. The Dam was a first-out winner who was graded stakes placed.
Yeah, Dam was with Chad Brown, so that Dam side precocity going out for Shug McGahee here.
And the other Christophe Clement at 9-1, start number 2 from Marion Road.
This one exits the same race as a horse that we saw earlier today. So we'll see what we get from this one. This was the race where we saw the other Chad Brown end up finishing 3rd in our earlier turf race. She was forward and faded very badly in that last start.
But was forward. Blinkers come off today for start number 2, so we could see much more finish. She's able to relax early on in the race here. Start number 2. See what we get. Now she's 10-1 in here. So obviously big pedigree with the 7 for this Chad Brown first-time starter. Dam produced a monster. Saratoga Derby, Hollywood Derby, Turf Classic, 3 Grade 1 wins for Program Trading.
He was always thought of to be a good one, and he's really done nothing wrong on the racetrack. I mean, he was able to win those first 3 starts, as we mentioned. Then he went up against Integration, that really talented turf colt for Shug McGahee, who had shown some serious numbers and some serious ability himself, so nothing disgracing him finishing behind that one. This horse has a lot of ability, and we'll see if his half-sibling has the same.
Sire was 6 for 9 lifetime on the turf, who was a 3-time Group 1 winner himself. Runner-up in the St. James's Palace at Royal Ascot. So Accent 3-1 for the debut coming up. Little surprised to see this 6 favored right now?
A little bit. I mean, experience means something for sure. We never know what we're going to get from these first-time starters, and it's not as though this is a race that doesn't have a couple of ways to go, right? Because you do have some horses coming in for top connections that have some racing experience, that are either trying something new or cutting back slightly in distance, and some exciting first-time starters as well. So this is a good group of maidens. We might see a horse that we end up talking about a little bit later on this year come out of here.
Don't think the 6 will be favored by post time.
Yeah. Who's favored in your multis?
7's going to be favorite, I would think. Yeah, favored in both. But yeah, even this late stage of the race to see the 6 favorite is surprising, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I took a little bit money first time out, big price second time out, a little wide, I guess. I mean, this horse can definitely win, but I agree. There's nothing that points this one out as don't jinx it being favored right now. But as you said, that'll change.
And we'll see. When a mile and an eighth last start, and it's a little bit, ran an okay number, but maybe more of a miler. We'll see. Getting back to this mile distance. So Sophia is actually, I believe it's, let me double check here. I believe in, yeah, the pick 3 is favored for Brad Cox, the 1.
Well, that was the winning angle last race, right?
But in terms of the double, yeah, it's Accent who was favored. So the 2 first-time starters are attracting plenty of attention, as they should. Certainly Accent, and we showed you that pedigree. I don't know. I'm a little intrigued with Marion Road, the other Clement.
Yeah.
See if that one can settle a little bit and just relax with that equipment change. Martha Washington, too, another intriguing first-time starter for Shug McGahee.
Definitely.
It's a good race.
It is. I mean, this is a good way to close things out for sure, because you have a lot of different ways to go. And with the horse towards the outside, when they're forward first time out, they take the blinkers off, the horse is drawn wide, and it was that speed and fade type of trip on debut. Do you just anticipate, okay, this horse needed a race, they were forward, they have some good natural early speed, it's going to be a totally different ball game this time?
You can always sort of forgive a debut, can't you? I mean, I always look at that very forgivingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love, if, in terms of this equipment change, I would love to see sprint speed stretching out and taking the shades off. A lot of times that's more of a winning angle. We'll see if this horse is quick enough to get to the front. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of pace in here, does it?
Not that we have seen so far, no.
From those who've run, yeah, very little.
And we don't really see connections with these live first-time starters really have their turf horses show a lot of that early speed for the most part. I mean, every horse has their own unique running style, and we'll see what they prefer to do, but these aren't, you think, horses like Wesley Ward with the baby races, they're going to get out of the gate, they're going to go right to the front. This is not the case that we usually see from the longevity of the turf runners that we get from Chad Brown, Brad Cox, Shug McGahee.
Loading up, it's still this Clement runner who is favored at 5-2. Big pedigree with the 7. I mean, that is shocking to me to see 7-2 on this horse. And I know it's coming down right now, but still, even 3-1. Sammy Camacho for Chad Brown. On this first-time starter, you got Sophia, Brad Cox debuting from the rail, and then Martha Washington, Shug McGahee barn, first time out in post 8. Some very interesting first-time starters here in the 9th from Tampa. Let's go to Jason Beam.
We have Power Dance and Power Party in this race. Martha Washington, and the final one will be Marion Road. Will be all set for a start. Ready to close the show here on a Wednesday. Again, back at it on Friday. Marion Road and Cipriano Gill to the outside goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Accent toward the outside was away in good order. Kaya between horses is the quickest, though, and Kaya is going to go out to grab the early lead. Accent away in good order down toward the inside. So Sophia is close up. Then comes Power Party away in third. It's a length more. Back to Caravaggio Song. Accent's going back through the field. Martha Washington moving up to her outside. Don't Jinx It goes down toward the fence. Marion Road had a little bit of trouble there going into that turn. And the early trailer is Power Dance as Kaya leads them around that first turn. Martha Washington bringing some company up on the front end, draws to within a neck as they go toward the back stretch. So Sophia's just in behind them third, 22.83 seconds for that opening quarter mile. So they start the backstretch journey, and Martha Washington all the way up to grab the lead from Kaya, who's now a neck back in second. They've gone 4.5 or 5 clear of So Sophia in third. After that comes Power Party in the black colors, fourth. Don't Jinx It's down toward the inside of Caravaggio's Song. Accent is back third last with Power Dance and Marion Road the trailer. These top two continue to go at it. 46.97 seconds the opening half mile. Martha Washington on the outside of Kaya. They go into the far turn. Their lead is 4 on Sophia, who's now third. Don't Jinx It moving up to that one's inside is fourth. Then comes Accent fifth. Trying to wind it up from the back is Power Dance. Around that turn, Kaya's poked the nose back in front of Martha Washington. Here's Don't Jinx It moving out 3 deep. Accent went by Sophia, who's now back to fifth. And Power Dance continuing to try to run on from the back to the top of the stretch. Accent comes through on the inside to grab the lead. Don't Jinx It now up to second. Kaya between horses going to take toward the inside. 3 more back to Power Dance. At the 16th pole, it's Accent. Don't Jinx It trying to get by that one in the final 100 yards. Accent still there. Don't Jinx It surging on the outside. Accent holds on to win it. Don't Jinx It was second. 4 more back to Kaya. Then came Power Dance in fourth.
First time out, it's Accent. Actually floats up to 7-2 in the end to win a debut. Sammy Camacho for Chad Brown.
Perfect ground-saving trip. The heavens open. He scoots through at the rail.
Seas parted on the inside. Back to our finale here in New York on the grass to close things out. Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll take a look at some long shots actually here in the paddock trying the turf for the first time. We'll begin with a drop down runner for John Terranova. That is number 8 in here, Pistol Hip Sam, who in a field of 7 last time took some nibbles as a first time starter. Now, did absolutely no running, but looking at him, I think he'll appreciate this switch of surfaces today. He's a son of Bolt Doro, who's actually okay with his turf progeny, especially going longer, and a half sibling did win on it. He'll also put blinkers on. A fairly significant 3/4 cup on him today. Now, I thought he looked fit first time out, but a race never hurts to get one a little bit more race fit. And I just feel like this is a better spot for him, as we'll also take a look at one that will be a big price in here, and that's number 5, Solomini's Legacy. Solomini's Legacy actually by Solomini, but one of the half siblings, one of 3 to try it, did win on it. And this guy has as much of a turf hoof as you could ask for, and incredibly slack pasterns. He's also marching around this paddock with some purpose. You know, all things you want to see with a runner. So at a price, I'd be willing to throw him in. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thanks. Here's our post parade for our finale. Ragazza Doro, Bruce Brown taking over the training duties.
And he was really in a troubled position in his first 2 starts, floated out very wide last time out.
Yo Bro debuted against Better sprinting.
Yeah, blinkers go on this one. We haven't seen him since October, and he was very green in that debut.
Ray Handle Barn, Make Your Moment, has Romero Mirage.
This one's been consistent for all 3 turf starts and hasn't really made a big move, but hasn't done anything wrong either.
Next door, Dancing in the Park debuted 7-1. A similar spot, did not show a lot on the grass.
Yeah, off slow that day and was always far back. We'll see if this one can improve with experience and a better start.
Turf debut coming up for Solomini's Legacy.
The one that Maggie liked a little bit at a big price, the horse that is 4 of 6 in the pick 6 for payouts. All the rest result in a pick 6 carryover as well. 5 of 6 for them.
Danziger, one turf start was 96-1. It was against a lot better.
Yeah, didn't really do any running that day. Hasn't really done much on either surface so far.
Turf debut for this one as well, Cara Dia Mejor.
This horse has a couple of good efforts, especially the debut that would have been playing in here. We'll see if this one can stretch out and take to the grass.
Pistol Hip Sam gets on grass for start number 2.
Yeah, didn't really have anything to say first time out, but a couple of changes today for sure, and was 7-1 on debut.
There's Romeo Void, second try on turf.
Yeah, last time on the grass was just the second start for this horse. He had a little bit of position and then ended up being well beaten.
Kendrick Carmouche there looking for number 4 on this Wednesday card. Here's Dead Aim, Ruben Silvera.
I like this one a little bit. There's some turf pedigree for this horse, though he is stepping back up in class.
Fresh start, 9-1, Jose Gomez, David Donk.
This one was wide on a day where you really wanted to have some forward inside position. So against the racetrack first time out and making some changes here.
And a modest favorite at 7-2 in here, Doomed. Start number 2 will stretch out for Jorge Abreu with Dylan Davis.
Has to overcome that outside post, but had some trouble in that first start, had a lot of traffic.
Second turf race of the season. We're 3 minutes away. And we'll close out this Wednesday card here. Favorite Doomed from the outside post with Dylan Davis. Stay with us.
to the outside. Elite Power coming down the center. Nakatomi is fourth. Then the Joes in front. Elite Power to the front. At the 60 pole, Guide is second. But Elite Power does it again in the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
These particular horses, Elite Power, I feel like these are horses we want to see in the breeding shed if we want to develop the thoroughbred breed.
The power of Juddmonte.
Back with you on our Wednesday coverage on Fox Sports 2 as we get set for this finale on our Wednesday card here at Aqueduct. Back on the turf, our second turf race of the season coming up. Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll check in with the horse who comes by way of Tampa Bay Downs, Ragazzo d'Oro. For Bruce Brown, I'm looking for a Bruce Brown double here today, as he was beaten by the 1-2 favorite who got a perfect trip up the rail last time out. And I know it says fractious. I couldn't necessarily see that in the replay that I watched, but I did notice that he maybe wasn't standing totally calm, and therefore it led to a bit of a slow break. Now, unfortunately, he's going to have to do that from the inside post today, so therefore he'll have to stand longer than anyone. And he's a big guy, so I'm taking him here. Just a little concerned about antics at the break, at the gate, I should say, but otherwise looks fabulous as number 4, Dancing in the Park. He's really filled out, and I know, talking with my husband Tom Morley, he does like him a bit more. He's kind of gotten his head more in the game than what he was when he debuted on the turf, and there's no doubt about it. He is definitely a turf horse and really does look best of any of them in the paddock. As the 12, your favorite, Doomed, kind of had a feeling he would be the favorite, drops in class and gets more ground to work with, and that is really what he wants, Greg. He is so long, has a lot of scope to his frame, and comes in here looking incredibly fit off of the layoff here of about 8 months for Jorge Abreu. So a deserved favorite. Just see if we can beat him here in what is a full field.
Yes, it is. 12 lining up and Doomed. Been pretty much favored throughout, but was 7-2 as a favorite before we went to break, and that price has come way down.
Yeah, he just has some upside, stretching out in distance, dropping in class a little bit, going out for some good connections that you trust. Dylan Davis will try to find position with him from a far outside post, who has been able to ride on the grass throughout the winter, unlike some of our regular riders, because he's been down at Gulfstream. But I'm with Maggie. I'm trying to beat him. I like the number 10, Dead Aim, a little bit, as we do see a rider off right now, I believe.
And the potential, is that Ruben Silvera? I'm not sure.
Nope, that's
no, it's the 11. So that's Jose Gomez getting back aboard. Fresh start for David Donk. Turf debut coming up. Debuted sprinting on the dirt. Here's your favorite. So Doom, Dylan Davis, Jorge Abreu, outside post. As we get set for our finale on this Wednesday card. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Goes in. All set. Fractious there was the 7, Cada Dia Mejor. Rider steps off. Sylvester Gonzalez climbing back aboard. We're set. And they're off. Bit of a stumble there after the start. Shortly after the break was Make Your Moment. They're tightly bunched as they quickly come out of the chute, and crossing over was Fresh Start. Fresh Start has the lead, is now a nose in front of Dancing in the Park towards the inside. At the rail is Yo Bro, is back to 5th now as Make Your Moment starts to make up strides, is 3 wide as they slow things down up front. Right there in 4th, patiently ridden is Romeo Void. It's going to be in a second grouping there. It's going to be 3 wide in that group, but as a shared 4th, as Cada Dia Mejor is worked in between rivals, has taken 5th. At the rail now back to 6th is Yo Bro, and moving towards the outside of this one comes Doomed, who's now in the 7th position, right there with Ragazzo d'Oro. Towards the back end of the field, Dead Aim has lost some ground to Danziger, who's to the outside of that rival there with Solomini's Legacy, and the trailer is Pistol Hip Sam. They work up the backstretch 23.83 for that opening quarter mile. More settled now as Fresh Start, is towards the inside, has the lead, 50 seconds flat for a half-mile time. Make Your Moment in Pursuit is right there, is engaged from 2nd. Romeo Void has made up some ground from 3rd. At the rail, Dancing in the Park is starting to move forward there, is in between horses there, is Cada Dia Mejor. Looks like be taking off stride there was. Dancing in the Park has just lost stride a little bit as they work into the turn. Doomed is starting to rally on. Same can be said for Ragazzo d'Oro. The rest with a lot of running to do from the back of the field. They approach the top of the lane, and Fresh Start, a little awkward here at the top of the lane. Fresh Start trying to get out. Here's Make Your Moment, who's ready to pounce. Fresh Start down towards the inside. Romeo Void, Ragazzo d'Oro is rolling on the far outside, is there with Doomed. Romeo Void is the gray, is in between horses. Make Your Moment. Fresh Start is not out of this either. Doomed in the green cap is now flourishing on through. Here comes Doomed. Ragazzo d'Oro towards the outside. 5 of them here at the finish, but give it to Doomed. Doomed wins the finale over Ragazzo d'Oro. Then came Romeo Void in a photo. Make Your Moment with Fresh Start in 1 minute 45.71 seconds.
Dylan Davis, Doomed, the favorite for Jorge Abreu off the bench. First time going long with the win.
Blanket finish, as we saw a lot of opportunities for some as we got closer and closer to the finish. Even your pace setter hanging in there to be a part of it, but Dylan was able to find the right split with this horse. He was able to sit a nice trip with him, able to have the ability to finish up too, and just willed him to get across the wire fresh off the bench, stretching out in distance. It worked out.
12-1-9, it looks like. 5-2 favorite takes this finale. And we will have a pick 6 carryover into Thursday.
We will. Really great cards all week. Actually, I just saw they drew Sunday. We have a very exciting allowance race in there.
Cornucopian.
Coming in. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, interesting. Sand Devil back too.
Mm-hmm.
Good week ahead. First 2 races on the turf. Good to have the lawn back, obviously. We see Chad Brown with a heavily priced odds-on favorite take one of the legs. But now finishes like this, too. These blanket finishes, several horses involved. We have a lot more of this to come. It's a great thing for handicappers.
You just want to see those exciting races where you think that you have a shot with a long shot, and I was given just enough of that chance, just enough of that ability to think it might happen with our first turf race that I'll keep coming back for more prices.
We hope to see you tomorrow. Showtime begins 1 Eastern tomorrow, Fox Sports 2 for our Thursday coverage. We will see you then with a lot more America's Day at the Races. Hope you enjoyed our Wednesday card. Here is Midway Memories, the first turf race back of the season. Odds-on favorite for Chad Brown with Manny Franco. And What's Up Bro, sizzling fast early on the front end and able to finish. What a performance in race 7. Linda Rice, Kendrick Carmouche, 3-win day for Kendrick. We'll see you tomorrow.
McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, proudly standing 4-time champion New York Sire Central Banker, Sire of multiple stakes winner Bank Frenzy.
Now Bank Frenzy means business and he'll win the Haynesfield.
Also standing Salamini, Sire of Grade 2 winner Winstock, and 7-time stake horse Doc Sullivan.
Doc Sullivan dominates the Mike Lee.
And Provocateur, the only Grade 1 son of Into Mischief standing in New York, half-brother to Wood Memorial winner Rodriguez. At McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, New York stallions that deliver.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
At the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, we believe in giving every thoroughbred a second chance.
And thanks to you, the owners, trainers, breeders, and every supporter, you've created a ripple effect of change that's helping these magnificent animals move on to new careers and safe, fulfilling lives after racing.
Every single donation, whether big or small, is contributing to a brighter future.
But this race is just beginning. Because of you, we have gained incredible momentum and we're ready for more.